What's up?
What's up, everybody?
Welcome.
Happy Tuesday. Welcome.
It's Monday, John. Today's Monday.
It's Monday. This is a special edition. Monday. Can you guys see the dog? The dog is here today.
The dog is the guest.
Brady is our special guest today. This is the Ask Aviator live stream pre-show on a Monday. We're coming to you live on a Monday for a very, very special reason. We have a guest that needs a lot of accommodation. A lot of accommodation, this guest. He's used to a very, very different lifestyle than we have here in here. He lives in a mansion.
America.
He lives in a mansion in England, a castle, I think, right? Yep.
He's pretty much the king.
Just kidding. I'm sure based on I don't want to say more about that. He probably lives in the British version of a trailer, though. I heard rent's like $7,000 for a one-bedroom apartment.
Over there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. Dollars or pounds?
British money. I don't know. Euros?
I don't know what the difference is.
I don't know what they
Probably
use.
should. All right, change the subject.
Clipped
Welcome
Wing,
to pre-show, guys.
Clipped Wing knows. He knows.
Posh Tom.
It's Posh Tom.
Someone read the description.
Yeah.
Good job.
Tom from ParaJet will be here. We are so excited. Or he is here. Oh, the dog is barking. The alarm bells have sounded. Come in. Who is that?
It's FedEx.
Who's
By the
Ducky?
front door.
Stop.
Thank you.
We're having a. This is wow. What a disaster.
I'm still working. So.
What a disaster.
This is why we start.
He opens
at
the door.
like 5:30 or 6 o'clock
there's a
on
dog.
Tuesdays.
So our guard dog is here in the studio today. This one is not the one that barks. It's the little one you can't see right now. Anybody who knows the little dog's name, put it in the chat now. I'd be interested to see if anybody remembers the little dog's name.
Win a calendar.
But this is Brady. Win an old calendar.
Win an old calendar that'll be new in a couple
Ernie
of years.
DeVletter in the chat. What's up, Ernie? How you doing, man? Long time no see. It doesn't. It's confused because it's Monday and we're live on a Monday. So we got Posh Tom in the house. Tom from ParaJet. Nobody knows his last name.
I know it. I just can't pronounce it.
Well, they say it's PB, like peanut butter.
Those are the first two initials. Yes.
I don't think it's the first two initials.
It's not the first two, but it's the
Or
first
no,
of each.
it's
Yeah, he's got like two.
Two last
I can't
names?
pronounce it. He told me last night, and I was like, that's not what this, because I saw it written down, and I was like, that's not how you pronounce this word. There's no way.
The small dog's name is not Spot. Where's the small dog? Get her in here. Come here, dog. I don't want to say your name. It's Cujo for sure. It's not. She looks like Cujo.
I can't call her without calling her name.
Dog. I don't want to say her name because it'll spoil it.
Nina's favorite dog.
Come here,
Nina's
dog.
favorite dog. Come here. Come here.
Bring her over here.
Come here. Wait, she's coming.
Oh, here we go.
Come on, Nina's favorite
Good
dog.
girl.
Come here.
Oh.
You should come up.
Here, pick her
You
up.
have to pick her up.
Pick her up. Who remembers this dog and can tell me her name?
Not Snoopy.
It's not Snoopy.
I had a
Close.
dog named Snoopy and it died during one of the hurricanes.
Stop. Do not go there.
It
On the
was
live
so
stream, this is
sad.
not for that. Okay, let's get back on track. So
Okay,
this is the Ask Aviator live stream pre-show.
We're getting so
Kate and I are para-noobs. We've been flying since March, so if you have questions that we can answer for you about paramotor, please lay them on us. We will do our best to give you a better answer than you will get anywhere else. That's our guarantee.
Ow. No?
It's our guarantee that we will try.
Oh,
Stop.
yep.
Everybody
Yep,
needs
that
to
was
stop saying
painful.
Snoopy. So what's up, guys? It's
Rest in peace, Bubba.
it's a Monday. So Tom from ParaJet is here, and he couldn't make it to tomorrow night, and we desperately wanted to have him as the guest on our live stream.
So we rearranged our entire schedule.
Yep, moved it up to tonight, and so tonight it is.
And
Kate,
here we are.
Kate wanted to do it on Friday, right?
I did.
She
I did. It seems more.
no. This is our weekly live stream. We're not doing it 2 days in a row. That's
That would
crazy.
be crazy. It's too much work.
Anybody notice anything
So-
different about the setup today? I noticed something different. I'm not happy about it.
Whoever can guess what
Who
it
can
is.
guess what the difference is?
There's a couple different new things, actually. If you notice that box. Can they even see the box? It's probably blurred out, actually.
No, they can read it.
They can read
There's
it.
a box back there. We just got the new
One wheel pint.
pints in.
Love the one wheel
They're
pint.
tiny and adorable, but I was watching Eric attempt to ride one.
Should we turn this into a pint commercial? Do you
Sure.
guys want to see Kate ride the pint?
No.
Pints are
No.
harder to
There's.
ride than the
Listen.
They're what?
harder to ride.
They're not harder to ride. It's easier to ride. Much easier.
No, because they're smaller surface.
There was 8 guys who flew into Avon Park. Was it you guys? Yes, it was.
Yes.
We went on a cross country this morning.
See, Alex?
We were going to go all the way to the Sebring Airport. However, Ross, we ended up having to land because Ross had literally 1/8 of a liter left in his tank, and he was like, "Yeah, we
That's-
should probably, refuel." So we ended up stopping in Avon Park instead. We passed my parents, or the place where I grew up, my parents' property, and so I buzzed their. That was a lot of fun. I buzzed their house. It was great.
Ross with the splash of gas. How about that?
There was literally like.
Why
this
did he
much
burn
left.
so much, or did he not fill it up?
He filled it up. I don't remember what he said. He was on a small wing.
Was he on
and-
the new free ride?
Yeah.
Why didn't you take a Spider, Ross? I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Kona, maybe? No. Love the pint.
Isn't that a paragliding thing?
The Kona?
Yeah.
It's both.
Oh, it's both.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a hybrid. It's really cool. It's like a Buzz 5 with trimmers.
John James says I should go for it, and I'm pretty sure he's talking about the one wheel. And
Just go for it.
I
Go
will
for
say
it, Kate.
no again. They're so scary.
She knows how to ride. You know how to ride.
I have the general concept of what to do, but whenever I get on one, it's like I immediately get like way discombobulated.
Should I demonstrate?
You're just gonna
Should I
ride around
demonstrate
back?
for
No,
the
because
people?
you're gonna make a mess of everything. You're gonna break something. He's gonna break something. Don't do it.
I'm not gonna make a
No,
mess.
don't do it.
I
Oh,
want it
no.
to be featured
Oh
on
no.
Livestream.
So put it up on the table back here. He's literally getting it. Okay.
Here we go.
Are you gonna ride it?
Look at that beautiful.
Put it back there.
Look at that beautiful one-wheel pint. How out of focus is it?
It's not nearly as heavy, is it?
No, well, it's actually barely lighter.
Really?
Yeah, it's
It's so much.
I think-
Okay, so what
I
do
think
you
it's
know what the
27
actual
pounds and
differences
24
are?
pounds.
between the two?
Yeah, so this one is a smaller battery. This one has a range of like 6 to 7 miles versus 16 to 18 miles on the
Oh.
XLR. It's much smaller. It's much more narrow. It has much smaller foot pads. It has a smaller motor, less torque. It's cheaper. It's half the price. It's like, I don't know, what is it? $900?
Are you
Shondor
serious?
in the house. What's up, Shondor?
Hello.
Welcome to the Ask Aviator live stream pre-show. Pre-show.
Nick asked Houston?
Shondor says, "Hi, Angelina." Hello,
Like
she
that.
says. Oh, my phone's ringing. Hold on.
Asked, do you guys fly during the day? Sometimes they'll go out in thermal, but we don't do any for fun flying. Well, I guess some people would call out for fun flying. I would not call thermaling for fun flying. Not yet, at least.
Yeah, Eric does.
But they went out. Didn't they go thermal today?
I don't
No.
know.
Did they?
Nate
they talked
Goodwin
about
in the
it.
house. What up, Nate?
Hello.
Welcome to the Ask Aviator live stream pre-show. Tom from ParaJet's here. For those of you that have tuned in the last
Oh, yeah.
in the last 10 seconds since we said it last.
We haven't done a pre-show in a really long time. Like,
I
this
think
is
it's
this
been like
is
1 week.
no, because we missed last few weeks. We're out of practice, John.
Did we?
Yes. It's been no, we skipped,
Live stream last week.
but we skipped the pre-show.
Yeah, we didn't do a pre-show last
We
week.
skipped the
The
pre-show.
people
And then
were
before
rioting.
They were.
There was a riot. We're back because the people
No.
demanded we come back. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
There was
For
a
sure.
miniature riot, but it was email based, so it wasn't violent.
You missed it. So I got my new wing in
Oh yeah.
finally, and I flew it for the first time.
What'd you get?
Day before- Spider 322.
Custom colors.
Yes.
A
It
20
looks so much better in the sky. I was almost really disappointed with it because I was like, man. So Angelina warned me because I guess they like the different fabrics are obviously they're all different
Yeah.
materials,
Right.
not materials, but they're different.
So they're
weights.
different. They're different colors.
And so the dye, it doesn't. It's not all. It's like it
yeah. Were you
grabs
trying to get a
onto it
solid
differently.
color, or what were you doing?
No, I just it.
You have a picture? Show me a picture.
You want to see it?
I don't, because I have no
if
idea.
you were here
I know
to
that
fly, you would have seen it.
Allie
No
got Barney
way.
colors.
Allie got a Barbie doll for her wing, and it actually looks really good.
Allie's wing looks like
I-
Barney.
It does not look like Barney.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't. I like her wing. Surprisingly. Here you go.
So I hope you
Here,
guys
here,
will do me a
here.
favor.
I didn't think that I liked it until I saw it in a picture.
Oh,
See, it's like weirder than.
it's got it's got orange maroon. I don't know what you were going for, but I do like it.
So I was hoping that would be way more like purpley, burgundy-ish,
Oh yeah.
and it wasn't.
Well, the funny thing is everybody's
did.
everybody's
Angelina warned
computer
me.
monitor sees colors differently. So like if you're ordering a custom wing on your monitor and I'm ordering one on my monitor, they might be a little different. So for anybody to expect it's going to look exactly as it looks on your computer screen, I mean, get real.
I would
It's
Get
not.
real.
taking photos of the real wings because the rendition is not
Get real.
as good.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some pretty like, it's actually kind of crazy how different some of the colors are as to what they're modeled on the website, but Mine wasn't that far off. It
Yeah.
just wasn't exactly what I was wanting.
Nina, how good does that pint look on the screen?
Is it in focus?
Yeah.
Do you guys see this sweet handle right here?
Kind of
On the top, that I like that better than the handle on the other one. It like balances it. What if it just falls and breaks? Are you gonna write it?
So,
Oh, good. What is it?
I had 2 comments about it being a little dark on the screen.
What? Oh, the pint? Well, yeah, because it's dark.
No, no, no.
For
the whole picture.
for everyone who's
those
just now
people are on
tuning
Facebook,
in,
right?
welcome to the Ask Aviator live stream pre-show. Eric will be here shortly. What time is it?
It's almost time. It's
It is almost
4:56.
time. We have a very special guest tonight. His name is Posh Tom
Tom, ParaJet
from
Tom.
ParaJet. He's a really cool guy.
Super cool.
I've really enjoyed hanging out with him the last couple of days. I think you guys will really enjoy hearing what he has to say.
Yeah, you guys are going to
Super
love him.
entertaining.
Some of these guys have probably heard
Great.
from him on Anthony Vella's podcast.
Great accent.
Paramotor podcast.
Yes, but this is the Ask Aviator.
But this is Ask Aviator.
This is
so we
different.
get
It's
we
getting
get our
good
guests
now.
live here in the studio. We don't mess around
Live.
with calling people
Nope.
on the phone. It's live.
Nope.
So
They have to be here.
Will you guys do me a
Um,
favor and ask him about custom colors? Maverick custom colors. He wants to talk about Maverick custom colors because it's his favorite thing to do. He loves it when people have custom Maverick orders, custom colors, especially the frames, dipping the frames. He wants to discuss that for the whole night. It's his favorite. So please, somebody, please remember,
Nice.
ask him about custom colors on the Maverick, actually
Just-
dipping the
Just
frame.
How many variations
Yes.
that you
Yeah, and
And
get
if you
into
can do multiple colors at once.
yeah, ask him about various colors. Say, hey, can I get yellow? Can
and
I get
purple
orange?
on the same motor?
Can I get sparkles?
That they might even be able to do the net.
Fletch got sparkles, right?
No.
Fletch
Although
didn't get sparkles.
why is that? Why do the blue ones have like a
It's
sparkly?
only the hoop, 'cause
It's only
Yeah,
the
the hoop.
hoop.
special paint.
Didn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah, it's
Surprise,
bumped.
guys! All the Mavericks are actually covered in glitter.
They're sparkles.
What was I gonna say? What was I saying?
Clipped wing. Is that Ben?
Who?
Clipped
Where?
wing.
I'm
That's
so
Ben, right? From
distracted.
ParaJet. Nina?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it dark
Long-
on YouTube
long
or is it
answer.
just me?
I've had multiple people say that it's dark on YouTube.
It's dark,
How's-
yeah.
Well, you guys haven't guessed what the difference is.
Well, I'm.
There's 8,400 different color combinations.
How was I supposed to choose one? Okay, there's so many.
Yeah. So
Also,
while
how-
Tom is out here, make sure he names the various combinations. Tell him to describe all 8,400.
Wait, is he talking about wing colorations or the?
He's talking.
Tom is
Oh.
Ben from ParaJet.
No, clipped wing is Ben from ParaJet.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Whoa.
sorry about the
guys were
unprofessionalism
talking
of
about-
today's show, you guys. It's so sorry.
So out
We
of
normally-
all of those colors, I really just want black.
Ew,
It's
why?
not black.
That's even better. Oh, it'll match my truck.
No, black is not black.
Your truck is black?
Yes.
That was green.
No, it's black.
The new
you
truck?
are colorblind. Yes.
I don't know.
I bought a truck.
I thought it was green.
Impromptu. I love it.
Thanks
has a
for
neck.
asking, Derek. The neck is still a little weird.
Are you
It's a little-
serious?
It's a little
it's been
torqued
like a whole
off.
week.
A little torqued off.
John's just drying his hair a little too aggressively.
Is Greg O in the chat tonight? Greg O, if you're there, say what's up. Like to give you a shout out. Greg Oram.
I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm
You
sorry.
do you
Shout
recognize that
out.
name? Do you know why I'm saying that
No.
name?
Why? Is
Oh.
no, he won. Right?
He is Le Winner.
He's the new winner.
He's the Tucker.
He's the winner.
most recent Tucker got winner.
Uh,
So,
guys, you should definitely encourage Tom to sponsor me so I can get a black motor
nah, nope,
for sure.
nope.
For sure.
So, what platform are you going to use to pay that back? Are you going to pay it back via? I mean, for somebody to sponsor you, like they have to get value in return. So, I'm interested in what the arrangement would look like. Are you going to share ParaJet's related content on all three of your Instagrams and the Ask Aviator live stream?
I'll to be determined. I don't want to share my secrets yet.
Oh, okay. It's a secret plan.
Talking to talent's not new.
How about doing the next
What?
pre-show from the air? Parastorm,
That's
great
actually
idea.
not a bad
Sounds
idea. We
dangerous
should-
as heck. but let's
It's
try it.
liable tonight.
Yeah.
You know what? We almost did that
it
one
is
night. We
5 o'clock.
we were gonna call off the live stream because we had a class doing first flights and we really wanted to be. I think we actually called it off that night. And I talked to him about just not necessarily the pre-show, but just going live from up high. I think we
Nina,
should.
do you want to check on them and see if they're coming?
Text 'em.
They're just distracted.
Yeah. It's all good. Eric's probably taking a nap. Was Tom
Welcome,
even
whoever's
here?
new. If you guys have joined in the last 5 minutes, I hear voices coming this way.
You guys, Tom came from the UK to be here on the live stream. I hope you guys understand how big of a deal that is for us. He just visited for the Ask Aviator live stream. I mean, that right there, man. That's great. What's going on here?
Derek asked a very important question.
Oh, he is here.
Who is here?
Christoph is in.
There he
now
is.
in.
Close enough on the.
Sweet.
Well, how do you pronounce it?
Can you ride this around and show everybody how it works?
Do not hit
It's
my
not on.
Remember, if you break it, you buy it again.
It's
Don't hit Ducky.
Oh, you dropped-
buy it again.
okay.
I have not named my truck yet, Derek.
So
Thanks
both
for asking.
of Tucker Gott's.
Just
oh
bought it
gosh.
night before last.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's over. Oh,
I almost busted
I
it.
thought it was all over right there. All right.
All right, turn it off. It's time to go.
Both
Okay,
okay.
guys,
So
thank you for joining.
where's Tom?
coming.
We're gonna round up the rest of the cattle, aka Tom. Eric, you should maybe get out of the frame now.
all right, you guys. Thanks for watching the live stream pre-show. We'll be back in 5 seconds.
Hello and welcome to the Ask Aviator podcast, number 27, I think. My name is Eric Farewell. It's great to have you guys all here. As you saw, if you were in the live stream or you're watching this on YouTube, you've enjoyed the Johnny Cate Plus 8, Johnny Cate Aviate. Terrible, terrible pre-show. It's actually my favorite part of the week. It's like watching a train wreck, except that all the people you love are in front of the train, and it's really beautiful. And there's something about it that it's a visceral experience. It makes you feel like you're closer with all of humanity because you get to see the best and the worst it has to offer. I'll let you decide which one's the best and which one's the worst. But truly, I greatly appreciate Kate and John for getting on here and sharing their humor and their love of this entire community. So, hi, Brady. If you guys are listening to this as a podcast, you're missing the most beautiful Greyhound puppo right now. She's so happy. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for being here. We are excited to have Tom on the show, as we call him, Posh Tom. Posh Tom is here from ParaJet. He also represents basically every other major manufacturer. He speaks for Fly Products, Nirvana. I've understand he speaks for Viterazzi. He speaks for Polini. My understanding at this point is that if you have an issue, a warranty issue with any brand motor that's built in Europe, he is the man to come to with complaints. His cell phone number will be listed on the stream screen later. I would encourage you to contact him. No, I'm just messing with you guys. Guys, always a pleasure to have you all here. Hi, Mom. My mom is on the screen. Good to see you all. Derek Trout, a pleasure indeed. We got Torqued Off in here. He won Tucker Gott's latest giveaway. He and Derek are the two winners. Nice to have them both here. Lucian Sims, good to have you. Eric Sheridan, Saeed, Nick Houston or Houston, Jorge, George. I really mess up with your name, man. I just told Tom this earlier. I was like, I've got to change your name on my phone to not be like Jorge, but George. Parastorm, how about doing the next pre-show from the air? Ooh, I like that. I like that plan. Clipwing, nice to see you. That's Ben, by the way. Is it? His wings are clipped. Ben is from ParaJet as well, and he is Tom's superior, so he's here to ensure that that Tom is doing things appropriately. We shall see what happens. But guys, I'm going to bring Tom on. I want to give a quick introduction. So, gosh, I don't know how many years it's been now. I have to think through this. 5, 6 years? So 5, 6 years ago, Tom and I met for the first time, and then about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we met at Beach Blast again, and it was a pretty monumental year. The Maverick had come out, and it was my first time seeing one in person, and I tried to downplay it. I was like, oh, it's very pretty. And then I turned to Travis, and I was like, crap. It's very pretty, and it does a great job. And then I saw Tom there, and I said, well, he's very pretty, but it does a crap job. No, so we've had this animosity and this rancor that you guys will greatly enjoy this podcast. But we're not just going to talk about how much we hate each other or love to hate each other. We're going to talk about paramotoring in general and how much we love this sport and how much enthusiasm and intensity ParaJet team, the entire ParaJet team, puts into things. In the same way that we care about training people and helping pilots take to the skies as best as possible, Tom, Simon, Gilo, and their team care about producing the best motor possible. So, Tom, join me, my friend. Glad you're here.
Thanks, Eric.
I should warn you, Tom made the drinks. So, yeah. All right, so the key is this. Stay in close.
Okay.
Like you're eating it. You're used to this. All right.
Okay.
Good. All right.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. My wife's in here. Hi, Nell. We got Lance Schuessler, Bob Litheract. John Hancock says 2 thumbs down already. Yeah, that's a sad world. Brandon Schweitzer, good to see you. Fly Blue Sky guy.
You're just mean.
Stephen Fay. Dude, so the Stephen and his wife are 2 of our new instructors, and they're going to be here this week.
Excellent.
We're so excited.
Cool.
They're moving down from Pennsylvania. They're just fantastic humans. So, all right, let's. We're going to get a whole collection of questions we have to answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to start with a few very simple ones for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to describe Ben Clipwing's worst fault.
There is none. Benny's awesome.
Okay,
and he takes.
I've seen his Mako shorts. They're kind of scary.
Yeah, he's got. His dress sense is pretty wacky, but he's awesome. Benny takes very good care of people. So
he does.
A good shout out to Benny. Love you, Benny. See you in a couple of days.
So everyone wants your shirt. When is the ParaJet Maverick shirt going to be available? Is Aviator going to have to make their own?
No. These are a limited edition. We did them as a start off for a competition winners. We're doing the new website. I spoke to you about. That's coming really soon, so we're super pumped about that. But images. We want images of people flying their machines, high quality images, because then it's things that other people can look at and see and enjoy. So we created the T-shirt for that, and there is actually a different version as well. And it's all Maverick based. It's the Top Gun theme. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit kitsch. It's a bit fun. But we do have some at the factory at the moment. Those are initially for the competition winners, and we will be rolling out some more soon. So if you like them, please get in touch with your local guys or with us directly, and we'll take care of you.
So tell me the truth. Have you received contact from 20th Century Fox yet? For
No, not yet.
No. So we should not hashtag Maverick too.
Let's not go that far quite yet.
We've got Wendy Weaver in here from the Lycoming County Balloon Fest, where we got to have the most fun air show. It was purity. It was a pure experience. We're going to be posting a video this week, hopefully this week, of our time at the schools, because we got to go visit. Was it 4 schools? 4 different schools, from elementary all the way up to high school.
Yeah.
And share paramotoring with them, and we had so much fun.
Yeah, it's cool when you introduce paramotoring to people for the first time.
Well, especially when you bring David Tejero, who's doing infinites over the high school football field.
That'll work.
Yeah. I mean, I felt cool. I did a couple of big turns, a few barrel rolls, and he's it just throws down. Let's just do some infinites. Why not?
it's easy.
Yeah. It was wicked. It was totally wicked. So, lots of people coming into the chat now. I'm actually really impressed. This is our first time ever doing this on a Monday. We did this especially for you, Tom.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Truly a pleasure. There are some great comments in here. We had a guy, Brandon, says that he has the Zenith and he loves it. He wants to know the main difference in it and the Maverick besides weight, and how does he charge his battery. I kind of want to skip over this question for a minute and dive a bit more into who you are. I'm going to start by the comment from Nebraska paramotor, Josh Bowden.
Okay,
one of my favorite humans, alliance partner, great human.
Very good guy.
Josh has a fair amount of experience with all things glorious, and he wants to ask if you're feeling intimidated by the one wheel next to you after the crash outside of his RV.
No. What doesn't break you makes you stronger, Josh. And, no, I'm still up for it. No. I've got my battle tap, and I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's heating up well.
He has mentioned to me that every time he sees someone riding one, he starts to have a little heart palpitation.
It's like the Harry Potter scar. It starts to burn.
7 stitches, eh?
7 stitches, yeah.
So the key with a one-wheel is to not get overconfident. The pint's a little bit easier on you. I've ridden it around for about 20 minutes today since we got them. But the XR, I mean, you're going 20 miles an hour, and you feel that surge of adrenaline. And you said you were riding it out like with your arms behind you.
I was doing like I think Olympic ice skaters do when they put their arms back. I was into it. I was really committed and going flat out, and then it stopped. My face did a wonderful job of slowing me down.
Yeah, it does that. Yeah,
and
in general life, not just on one wheels.
Absolutely. But yes, no, it was it was an interesting accident. But like I said, what doesn't break you makes you stronger. So I'm all good.
I do have to apologize. Strength. I have to apologize to everyone watching. Tom has been needling me for 3 straight days. So I feel the necessity to at least
pick on me.
Well, at least give some back now that we're in public.
It's okay. I can take it.
Yeah, and you were so nice to Ben.
Absolutely.
He knows it wasn't real, right? Like he by now he has to know.
He knows it's real.
He knows how angry you still are for having him share that bottle of whiskey at Coupe Car.
It was a very nice bottle of whiskey, thank you. Yeah. And I think they particularly enjoyed it.
I didn't have any of it.
No, me neither. They drank it very quickly. Yeah.
That does happen. That does happen. All right, so I want to talk a little bit more about who Tom is, what his story is, because he actually has quite a unique story. I've heard bits and pieces over the last 5 years of our friendship, 6 years of our friendship. One of my favorites is how you discovered this sport.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to be a pilot, a fixed-wing pilot.
Yeah, I had to get both planes. So flying's in the family. Granddad was a Spitfire pilot in the war. My uncle flew helicopters for the army.
P-51.
Yeah, and so I was always interested by it, and I knew I kind of knew subconsciously I had a love for it, and I was really into it. So my family gave me a few birthday presents, a couple of split wing lessons, a helicopter lesson, and I was really into it. I really loved it. And I thought, this is what I want to do. And
then you met a girl.
Well, no, then I looked at the cost.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay, right, that's a lot of money. And I sort of came to this sort of daunting realization that even if I could sort of save up the cash to do the license, reality check was I was never going to be able to actually use it because I couldn't afford a plane or a helicopter. And then it's
much more expensive in the UK than it is here.
It's crazy expensive. I mean, it's totally, like all things, it's totally worth it if you're going to get the value out of it.
Right.
But,
if you use it.
If you use it.
Right.
But I'm the sort of guy that when I find a hobby that I enjoy, I want to do it a lot. And the realization I had, which was a sad realization, was I wasn't going to be able to do it because I couldn't afford it.
It was funny. I had this conversation with someone a few days ago because this weekend my wife and I flew our small plane to Nashville. And 6 weeks ago, we booked a trip to Nashville. We had to go look at a potential flying site and school site. And we had to also go to a great marriage intensive that we had a wonderful time. And we were going to book airline tickets because it's an 11-hour drive. And the airline tickets were like $700 6 weeks ago. And then they were $900 the week before. And I was like, I've been tracking the whole time. And we figured out that we flew up there and back for like $220. $230 on the outside.
Makes me jealous. Yeah.
So, but the thing was, like, it's exactly what you said. If you're not going to use it consistently, you're not going to get the value out of it. What's the point, right? So we flew up and back for so much more affordably than you would be able to even drive, and it was 4 hours, which is pretty great. 3.5 on the way back.
That's unfair.
But it's a thing where if you aren't going to utilize that value, it's a huge investment to get your pilot's license.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
big time.
So you were in Africa.
So this was before, and then my now wife and I were traveling many years ago. 20 years ago now.
Oh my Lord!
So it makes me feel really old. But we were traveling around South Africa, and we were driving down the Garden Route, which is a beautiful place. If you've never been, please go. And we fell in with a group of paragliders, and and I think they do what they usually do, which is, hey, do you want to have a tandem flight? And I was, yeah.
Do you want to pay for our beer for the week?
Yeah, pretty much. And of course, they knew they had me before I'd even started. So I did the tandem flight, absolutely adored it. And he said, hey, do you want to come and have a go on your own tomorrow? And I was, yeah, I would. And that was the rest is history. So I did that for a while.
That was 20 years ago.
That was 20 years ago. I never finished the license. We were just passing through, and we ended up extending our trip for longer than we were supposed to. Because I just couldn't get enough of it. And then I came back to England, and I promised myself I was going to finish it, and I was going to do my license, and money and time and life got in the way. And then I bumped into a friend of mine who happened to be one of the owners of ParaJet at the time. And
Who was that?
It was a guy called Jim Edmondson. Hi, Jim, if you're listening.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah, and we were chatting over a beer as you do, and we started talking about life and traveling and fun. And he goes, hey, and I said, oh, this paragliding, it was amazing. He goes, well, do you know what we do, right? And I said, oh, no. And he goes, we make the powered paragliders. Would you like to have a go? famous last words. And, literally 2 days later, I was driving into a field, and I met Jim and said hi, and he's pointed to the corner of the field and he said, there's the grey-haired gentleman over there. His name's Dean. He said, go and have a word with him and see if he can't train you.
It's Dino.
So it was Dino.
No
This
kidding.
was Dino, yeah. So I wandered over there. I said, hi, Dean, I'm Tom. He said, hi, Tom, I'm Dean. And I said, what are you up to this weekend? I said, I guess I'm training you. And I said, hey, that's right. And the rest is history. So
I didn't realize you learned with Dino.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it was cool. And he was, bless him, the most amazing person, the most amazing instructor. And the amusing thing is that my best friend Will, hi Will, if you're listening too, he got a random phone call from me on a Thursday evening saying, hey, what are you up to on Saturday? I don't know, why? What are you proposing? We're going to go and learn how to fly paramotors. Really? I said, yeah. He said, okay. So, and Will's just been away with me on a great trip to Brazil, where we had lots of fun. So it's something that we do together. He's my wingman. We go off on all our adventures together. But that's it. That was the catalyst. And it was at this point I still didn't work for ParaJet. I was very much doing other things. But I knew that I wanted more,
Yeah.
and even then I still didn't have the money to pay for the equipment, and I knew I was limited, but I still wanted to fly desperately badly. And I sort of said, in a passing comment to Jim one day over a beer, hey, well, if you're ever looking for anybody, and of course, 2 years later, I was driving up the motorway to a meeting, and I got the call. He said, are you in? I said, yeah, I'm in. And, a month later,
awesome.
2 days later, I handed my notice in, and then I started at ParaJet 8 years ago now, I think, or 9 years ago. And the rest is history, as they say. But yeah, no, my passion for flying, I think, definitely drives it. I think I feel very lucky to be one of those people who actually gets to really enjoy what they do. Both on a personal level, but also, like we talked about earlier, we were having drinks the other day.
You have the right team.
We got a great team of people. The wonderful thing is that everyone actually really, really enjoys doing what we do. They totally get it. I think the fact that we actually make people happy, I think, is a really inspiring thing.
That was something I wanted to talk to you about, because I feel like at the core of both of our businesses, there is a deep, desperate desire to improve life for others. And I obviously, Gilo and I got along well. We're both a little bit eccentric, a little bit weird.
Just a little bit.
In a good way. I think for him, it might not be so good. But I think that mission, which you picked up on so early, was that you could share that love with other people.
Yeah.
And you have.
I think you were just talking about it earlier with the tour, and David was doing the Infinity Tumbles and stuff. When I always find that when you first introduce a paramotor to someone who's never seen one before, it's you watch their emotions, and it's a state of interest,
right?
Sort of a little bit wacky, but also it makes them smile. It really does, and it's something which it's a really. I always remind people that we're the lucky few.
Yes.
Percentage-wise in the world, there's paramotoring is still a very small sport.
0.0001%.
Hugely small sport and compared to most others. But we're the lucky few. We get to do what we do, and it's a really cool thing to be able to do, and also a great thing to be able to share with other people. Because I met some of your students today.
And think about what you get to share with them.
Those guys are super, super happy.
You got to share a 2.5-hour cross-country flight with them this morning.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Ross. Yeah, that was awesome. Really, really good. I really enjoyed that flight. It was great.
I heard that Fletch was actually leading you on the charge.
He's leading the conversation.
Fletch is one of my favorites. So Fletch is from Nottingham.
Yeah.
And Fletch is one of our instructors. He likes to tell people that if he's anywhere other than directly over the airport, he has no idea where it is. So at one point, Nina and I were outside as you guys all arrived back, and you flew by, and I realized you were flying my engine, and I was like, come on, Tom.
Absolutely.
And then everyone else flew by, and then here comes Fletch. And he just flies over the hangar and continues north. And I looked at Nina, and I said,
on going.
I hope he realizes he just flew over the airport. Fletch, I know you're watching. I love you, but you scared me a little bit. I was a little worried.
But no, thanks to all the guys this morning, by the way. It was really, really good fun. Thanks for making me so welcome. I had a great time, and it was an awesome flight. It was brilliant fun. Yeah, so beautiful morning.
What it's all about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tomorrow morning, same thing, but different direction?
I can't say no. I'm in. I'm in. Yeah.
All right. So what you brought up, though, is this idea of being able to share something. And I want to answer a ton of questions for people. I apologize that we aren't going to get into that quite yet, guys. It's only been 20 minutes. And I've ripped on Tom for at least 7 of those. So
I'm waiting for more. Yeah.
It's my turn, all right? This is my show. It was your 5-hour meeting today that I got tortured and destroyed, and I'm still recovering, so it's okay.
That makes me feel better.
You've had an opportunity. Obviously, you started with Dino and ParaJet, and you were blessed to come into a really great group of people early on. But one of the things that I really admire about you is not just your love for your company, but your love for the whole sport.
Yeah.
What is one of the most fulfilling flights you've ever done?
So
You can't use the Christ.
Okay. Well, no, that's epic. But I think I told you about the trip we did to Brazil last year, and it was and forgive the pronunciation, I think it's sort of Lençóis Marinhos, and it's
your Portuguese is pretty poor.
Very.
It's better than mine.
Apologies to Danielle and the other guys from ParaJet Brazil who are watching.
By the way, Danielle, call us. We want to come play too.
Yeah. But it's just for those people who don't know, it's north of Rio, and it's an amazing place of natural beauty. It's 100 kilometers of natural sand dunes, which also have thousands of natural rainwater lagoons that cover them. So it really looks like the surface of the moon. But
I've seen the photos. It's astonishing.
It's epic. But the great thing about that trip was that we went, so as you know, we've got our other sister company, Mako, that do the jet boards. And we went for both. It was all about the adventure. That's one of the mantras of Gyro Industries is innovation through adventure. But actually, we say these things and we have these words. But actually, when we were on the trip, we had a sort of a one moment when we're all quite emotional. We had an amazing day and just mind-blowing day. One of those days as a pilot that you'll never forget because it was just that good. And we all sort of sat there and we sort of had this sort of realization that we'd made this stuff. We'd made it. Yeah. We'd taken it to a different place, and it had taken us
to a whole new world.
To a whole new world.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds a bit naff, but actually it's true. And
what's naff for Americans?
A bit silly, but or a bit soft. But it was true, and we all genuinely felt that way, and it was a huge group bonding moment. But actually, it was just exceptional. It just made you realize that actually a paramotor is the portal. It's the device that allows you to actually have the adventure. You can, and I was chatting about this to a couple of your guys today, and indeed over the weekend when we were having drinks with people. The possibility for adventure is amazing, and I think it's growing more and more now. We've got the things like the Icarus and more of these organized events. And I think it's great that people have got that opportunity. I'm really lucky. I do what I do, and I get to go on some of these amazing trips, which I feel incredibly lucky to do, but absolutely also equally could never miss out on because I'd be just sick with envy. I
am from your Brazil adventures, both of them, your Maldives adventure. Right now, Bear and Gilo are in Morocco.
Yes, they are, yeah.
By the way, Gilo, I left a comment on your Instagram. I didn't text you because I was being respectful. The next time you go somewhere fun, I want an invite, please. Morocco with Bear Grylls does not sound like the worst plan.
No, I don't think it sounds that bad at all.
They're speed flying off those dunes, and it looks amazing.
So, but I think that we talked about this earlier. I think that's something that we're really looking into now, is because we get it. I think as the sport evolves, the state of training. We talked about this just earlier today. The level of training goes up, the level of quality of the equipment goes up. And as a result, the quality of pilot goes up.
Yeah, 100%.
And because of that, what people want to do and what they're capable of doing and their desire to do is also more than just fly over your local airfield. I think that's great. So, and that's our all the machines that we build. Okay, obviously the Zenith is this sort of ultimate travel device, but actually things like the boards as well. I think our whole mantra is that we want to build stuff that you can take with you anywhere
to create your adventure.
Yeah, to have fun wherever you are. I mean, I'm one of these drastically now silly people who everywhere I go, whether it's just on holiday with my wife and family, I'm constantly looking at the angles about if I can paramotor there, could I jetboard there. That drives them mad because they're like, no, that's what you do for work. You need to spend time with us. But it's that's the way I think. Everybody who really starts to fly and embrace flying and want to fly, that's something that your brain instinctively starts thinking about. And we want to be able to start offering that to people in a more formal way. We're not there yet. There's lots of discussions to have and thought process to have, but we definitely think it's something that people want to do. And we want to be able to help them do it.
So we did our first adventure 3 weeks ago. We took 5 pilots. Actually ended up being 7 of us. 9 of us that were flying. a little support crew, instructors, maintainers, and we went to the northwest coast of Florida near Apalachicola. Mm-hmm. And we had the most beautiful place, beautiful home, great food.
Sounds terrible.
So what's been really fun about this visit, because obviously you and I have had way too many conversations, but one of the things that's come out of it is that I think that Aviator and ParaJet will be working together to provide some of these adventures.
It's a great idea, and we should, yeah.
Because we're put in a unique place where over nearly 8 years now of teaching paramotors, we have, I will say this like completely openly, the students that came out of here 6 years ago versus the students coming out 4 years ago.
It's a different level,
and the students coming out today. I mean, our students, like George, who's in the chat right now. George is a firefighter from South Florida.
Hey,
You met
George.
him.
Good flight this
He
morning,
bought
buddy.
the beautiful Volution that lived back here for
Yeah.
the last few months. He's a great guy, and he got to go on a 2.5-hour cross-country flight this morning.
He owned it. He
owned it.
Yeah, he was the most playful of us all, I think. He was absolutely loving it.
And the thing is, he finished training a few weekends ago, right? And now he's had the opportunity to go for adventure flights and think about, like, what if we do a trip, which I really want to do Brazil. I really want to do, what's the name of the dune in Dune de Playa?
Yeah, Dune de Pilar. Dune de Pilar in France.
I want to do that. We're going to do Costa Rica in February, it looks like. We're going to do maybe Montana in May. There's a few other options. But we can do these in partnership with ParaJet, at least some of them, especially the European ones. Because, like, for us, we want to take people free flying for some trips, motoring for others, both for others. And you guys have a way better network in Africa, Brazil, and Europe than we do.
Yeah, we're really lucky. Yeah, we're really lucky.
You're so blessed. And it's not by just being blessed. It's by hard work, which I deeply respect. So,
but I think it's more than that. I think it's the sport. You know, I think that's the thing that we were chatting about earlier. I think that's the kick that I always get. That the more places you travel, the people you meet. You know, loads of our guys that we work with, it's not about the money. You know, they do it because they absolutely love it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, the great thing about this sport is that it is hugely fun. I think it attracts open-minded people who want to do something different, who are free-spirited. And as a result, the sort of people who want to welcome, you know, when I talk to the guys, when I visit them, I say, oh, you know, what about the idea of bringing people? Oh, bring them, let's do this. Right. So I think that drives us. We're hugely excited about it. It needs thinking, it needs working out. We want to do it. If we're going to do it formally rather than when we go, it's a different thing.
Fun,
yeah, it's not a service.
It's a little bit
providing
of
somebody.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes that's what makes it so good. But also, I think if we want to deliver it as a service to our clients and an opportunity for people, we just want to do it right. Like everything, we want to do it right to the ParaJet level.
So that's one of the things that ParaJet does on the engineering side and service side, and Aviator does on the training and service side, and that's why we're such a good fit. Like I turned to Travis after my first long flight on the Mav, and I was like, I don't know how we ever sold anything else. I was blown away, and it's hard to blow someone away who's flown almost every motor on the market. At that point, I have kind of fallen off this year because I've been spending more time with my kids, but I've tried to fly every wing, every motor I possibly can, and I was so impressed.
Good.
And that was coming off of, like, I've flown the V3, I've flown the Zenith. I like them both. Brother.
Yeah.
The Mav's a different level.
It's. I tell you what. Thank you, firstly, but also I think we saw that, and we talk fondly about that moment at Beach Blast. I enjoyed that massively.
Because I'm sitting here looking at your net tensioning system, and I was just like, this is so much classier than anything else I've ever seen. How is the net tensioning system? I mean, it's off of a pair of really nice shoes, and it works so much more simply than anything else in the market. It feels like this is stupid that no one else has done it before.
If it makes you feel any better, we drove ourselves crazy trying to do it.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we were late to the party. Let's be fair. We were late to the party with the Mav. It was the lightweight thing was already kicking off. The AC guys were doing such a fantastic job, and you could see that that's what the public wanted, and that's what the market wanted.
I'm still impressed by the fact that. And mind you, I would have been the first guy to tell you that you'd done it wrong, because the previous manufacturer we worked with, the only thing that mattered, comfort didn't matter, reliability didn't matter, weight mattered.
Yep.
There was a shipment we received that had all square buckles, like from a speed flying harness, and we're like, this is unsafe. this is uncomfortable and this is difficult. And he's like, but it saves 450 grams. We're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, but and I honor him for that decision. Like, this is not me talking smack about it, but it was his decision was weight over all else.
Yep.
Which you have to have a mission. You have to have a mission. But one thing
Absolutely.
that ParaJet's done, you guys have said refinement above all else.
Yeah.
It's not the lightest.
No.
I mean, the Eclipse is.
And we're
what is the
happy with
Eclipse? 9 pounds lighter?
I don't know what that is. I'm a
Oh,
kilo.
I'm sorry. So it's like
guy.
4.5 kilos lighter, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's much lighter. And I love the Eclipse. We have a great relationship with him. It's there's one back there in the back of the screen. It's yeah, I know you love Naveed and the guys. So
Naveed.
Naveed will be here on the show in about 4.5 weeks. So what I was so impressed by was that you didn't try to win. You tried to refine.
Yeah.
And that really is, I mean, Gilo and the guys have really, I'm saying the guys including you in this, which is shocking for me because that's a nice statement.
I won't get used to it.
You guys really have done an exceptional job of trying to ensure that you didn't sacrifice too much. You tried to ensure that you did the best job you could for every pilot, not the pilot who needs the lightest unit, not the pilot who needs the heaviest unit, but for the everyday pilot. Like I fly a Maverick. It helps that you made it look like Evel Knievel. It makes it entertaining. But I love the way it fits.
I'm happy for that.
So just to shift gears slightly and start answering one question, Zenith versus Maverick.
Yep.
Flying wise, aside from weight,
Yeah.
what's the biggest difference?
So I think geometry-wise, all the machines are incredibly similar. So
They are.
If you fly all the machines, or you have the opportunity to fly all the machines, you'll recognize that. For me, I have a Zenith, as you know, and in fact, I will have a Maverick. But
Someday when you can afford
I
it,
still have the Dark Destroyer. I still have the Tommy gun, as we call it. And I love my Zenith, and I think the whole concept of the Zenith just gets me going. The whole I love the adventure thing. We talked about it just a minute ago. It really drives me. The idea that you can put your machine in a suitcase and travel with it. I'm a big guy. I'm a 100 kg guy, so obviously the weight.
That's 228 pounds for Americans.
Sorry guys, yeah.
For people who've been to the moon, that's 228 pounds.
228 pounds. But no, so the weight isn't the overall driving factor for me. I think the thing that the Maverick delivers for people in terms of the flying aspect, and the reason it's so comfortable is because the engine's so close to your back.
Yes, it brings the weight so much closer.
Yeah, it brings the weight so much closer to you.
And you eliminated this.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's really difficult to find the balance, but we did. We're happy with it. And it's very pleasing to hear that other people are too. But I think it's that there's the lack of weight transfer. It is incredibly sharp. I remember from a commercial point of view, yeah, I was absolutely driving for the Maverick. I needed it. I wanted it. I as a sales guy, I absolutely needed it.
Would you mind if we tell a bit of the backstory of that time in the boardroom?
No. So it was just I absolutely was trying to obsessively persuade people.
I think it's worth sharing because I think it really empowers who you are and how much you care.
Well, just I think I was prepared to to basically put my name to it, to say, hey, listen, look, we absolutely need a lightweight machine.
Willing to give up your job for it.
Well, I would have done, yeah.
Yeah, you believed in this that much.
I believe that the lightweight market was what we wanted to do.
And anybody who has a Maverick and sees this needs to understand how much you believed in it first.
Yes.
Because your belief is why I believed in it.
Oh, that's nice.
And your belief is why they ended up with one. And your belief is why the board said, okay, sure, it's your job.
But, to be fair, it was just, I knew we needed it from a commercial point of view.
I think it's brilliant.
I see where the market
I don't think you get enough credit. It's my whole point.
No,
I'm trying to give you credit in a public forum.
Don't give me credit. It'll make me blush. No, I think genuinely, commercially, I knew that we needed it.
Right.
It was then the challenge was to actually conceive it and come up with it. And we talked about this earlier.
I met your engineers.
Yeah. Great, amazing team of people.
What's the chin's name I met in the pub?
Which one? Sam.
Yeah, Sam.
Sam, yeah. Sam.
Lovely wife.
Lexi.
Met them in the pub.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Sam. What's his wife's name?
Lexi.
Yeah. I still see her pop up on Facebook. Great people. I like them both.
Mm-hmm.
That man has a brain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
If I could kiss the person who came up with the triangulation on the subframe, on the base subframe.
Yeah.
I would say with our previous brands, the little feet that come out the back to protect the prop or protect your foot from the prop. Every class, one would do this from a butt landing. and we'd have to bend it back down. And then when we do this from a butt landing, we'd have to bend it back down. Do you know how many times we've had to rebend a Mav?
I'm hoping not many. Yeah.
Aside from Ross sending one with no no cushioning whatsoever from Vegas, and it looked like it came out as a tetrahedral ball.
Yeah.
I think once.
I think I like Chris's comment. You can drag it through the dirt and it keeps coming.
No, he said you can plow through the dirt.
That's the one. You can plow it through the dirt. Yeah.
You can dig a trench. That's Chris's line. You can dig a trench.
And that's so awesome. But no, we alluded to earlier. I think the biggest challenge with the Maverick overall was the actually sticking I'll be totally transparent with people. It didn't work at first. We wanted to win. We decided that we wanted to win. We wanted to win the weight race.
Winning meant giving up too much, and I think you guys made the right decision. And it was it's a tough one for me. Like we sold the lightest unit at the time. Now we sell it again with a different brand. And I still firmly believe in the unit, but we had it because of its lightweight. We had our own series of issues, and so we, as a company, worked really hard to make sure that those issues were cared for. That all the first 240 customers didn't worry about the fact that their crankcase was going to crack because we're going to take care of them, right? Like they were good units. I still stand by them. We still have a ton of parts for them, but you guys didn't give anything up. You refine
eventually
everything. Well, eventually.
Yeah.
Tell more of the story.
Well, so I think inherently, if you want to be good, you want to win. That's the thing. And we actually, as much as it's frustrating when other people come up with good stuff, actually it drives you. It's good. It doesn't feel like that at the time. You feel like you've been sucker punched, but it just drives you to make something better and to think about it. And with the Mav, we wanted to be the best. We wanted to be the lightest. And we looked at it and we made loads of prototypes, and they weren't good. They weren't good, and they had loads of problems. And we looked at it and we had this sort of kind of realization moment again. We just, what are we doing? What are we doing? This is not us. This is not us. And we had a really frank talk and a hard sort of conversation. And went, actually, do you know what? It isn't about what does it mean to be ParaJet? What do we stand for? What does a ParaJet product feel like? What does it look like?
Right.
And there's lots of different elements in there. And so I think the best way I could describe a Maverick is that it is a all-round lightweight contender that pays homage to what ParaJet's all about. That's it.
Well, and to exactly answer the question, having flown the Zenith and the V3, both of which I like. The V3, I still have one of my favorite flights of my life. I was with Chris Tedekirchi in Utah. This is about 6 years ago. We took off, I don't know how many miles from the south side. I shut my engine off over Cabela's, which is about 2.5-3 miles from the south side of the point of the mountain. And I'm on an Alpha 5, which is a advanced beginner wing. It was an extra small, or it was a 21 meter. I'm flying this heavy motor. It's blowing. It's blowing. And I was able to glide in, catch the ridge lift, and I flew for over 2 hours.
Wow.
Just riding the ridge lift. And it felt like flying a free flight harness. And at the time, I'd been flying very different brands. One had weight shift arms, one was high hang points, and even the weight shift arm one didn't feel anything like that. Like it was cranking your whole body across and pushing down to get the weight shift you wanted. And so I effortlessly flew, and the only other guys up were speed wings and hangies, right? So you got hang gliders and speed wings flying with me, and I was just giddy. I felt like I cheated because I launched with a motor, I flew a few miles away, and then I shut down, and then I coasted in, and then I had this epic flight, which I still have the footage of.
Cool.
And I, it's Southside flying. It's not exactly the most exciting footage in the world, but like for me, if I could post that 2.5 hour flight of me giggling, every time I'd go above the hang gliders, every time I would find the thermal and hook it and go up, and it would start pushing me back, and I'd have to step on the bar and get back. Like that was a special moment that you can't express to someone. Like flying in Brazil, like your story is way more epic, right? But for me, my story was that I cheated. I got to go and do something that was you're not supposed to fly a motor at the point, so I didn't. I turned the motor off 2 miles away, 3 miles away. And then I glided in, and then I had this chassis that felt like a free flight harness, and I played for hours, and that was so cool. That was my first ParaJet introduction, and I was just like, So and it was running a original classic Moster.
I remember those. That's 5 years ago now. Yeah.
It was running so poorly. I would estimate the power to be somewhere below the top 80.
Mm-hmm.
I got off the ground, climbed very slowly. It was tuning it. There were issues, but I really appreciate Chris. Chris, if you ever watched this, thanks for letting me borrow your motor.
Hey, Chris.
I greatly appreciate it. But it was one of those unique experiences where like you'll never forget it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made me kind of fall in love with ParaJet way back then.
Good.
And then when the Mav came out, and I was like, gosh dang it! Not only is it pretty. Well, my initial reaction was, well, it's way too heavy. And then I tried it on. I was like, well, they got the weight close to your back. You don't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Scout. Scout does a really good job of keeping it, on the carbon that weight's up against your back on your spine because there's no weight outside.
Yeah.
Like the Zenith and the Evolution, the weight's way outside. So you feel
More
more
so,
awkward movement-wise. That's why I prefer the Mav.
Yeah.
So to answer the question further, chassis-wise, geometry-wise, very similar. Evolution feels a little more... Maybe a little more lean
It's a rock
back.
steady machine.
Yeah, it's a little more solid. But for me personally, Maverick without question over the Evolution or the Zenith. The Zenith, the only thing I don't like is I don't like how it hooks your lines if you don't have your arms up high enough.
Yeah.
And the weight's further outside. The Mav hits all the points. It's refined in a way that works, which is why it's my personal unit.
I think what's interesting actually is that obviously the market is very much lightweight based now.
Right.
So.
Sorry about that.
No. Maverick is, it's great. I think I mentioned to you earlier that when we see the posts that people make about their machines and how happy they genuinely seem to be with them, which is epic. And thank you for everybody who actually owns one. Thank you for choosing to fly with us.
I love their
we
comments.
We do really appreciate it.
The comments they make when someone asks, like, what should you buy? And they're like, you have to buy a Maverick. It's the best. Like,
and
they're very passionate.
They're putting me out of a job because they're doing it for me. But it's
we'll hire you, Tom.
Thank you. But I think it's great. It's a huge satisfaction. I think I speak to on behalf of myself and the whole team that when the amount of work that goes into making them, it's not a labor, but it's tough, and we're challenged daily, and we put a huge amount of energy and drive into doing it, and everybody in the team does. There's not a single person in the building that we could do without.
I met a lot of them.
Yeah,
I like them
and
all.
you have, and it's an epic team, and we're genuinely very lucky that I think when you visited in February, we talked about it. It's magnetism, the gyros, the catalyst, and people absorbed into the company that you were asking about, people, the ideas and the skill sets and all this stuff. And I think that's why we're really lucky, is that people genuinely have an interest in what we do. Like I said, I'm one of those lucky people who actually does get up in the morning and want to go to work, which is brilliant. It wasn't always that way.
It should be.
That's why I ended up coming to ParaJet, because I was doing great, but I was just bored, and I wasn't in any way motivated or inspired and anything else like that. Now I probably work twice as hard as I ever did, but actually I love what I do, and it's generally very rewarding. But the whole sort of process of making a machine and designing a machine, and it is far more complicated than people possibly imagine, and also more so to productionize something. To make one thing is easy. To
have the your supply lines, the chain that you have to build for, especially the volume you're doing.
Yeah.
You're one of the biggest paramotor manufacturers in the world. And the reality is, especially with companies like ours putting pressure on you, the American buyer is very demanding.
Yep.
You guys have done an exceptional job, and it's not without mistakes.
No, of course not.
Because we've sold paramotors for 4 different brands now, and it just five different brands now. 5. There are challenges, especially when you start stepping up into bigger scales.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed.
So I think I mentioned to you earlier, one of the great things we get to do, and by the way, international offer for anybody out there, if you are visiting the UK, we have an open door policy at the factory. You are very welcome to come and see us and check out what we do.
I would encourage you guys not to go the wrong way around any of the roundabouts. Just because it seems backwards doesn't mean it is. Oh, wait, yes, it is.
But we absolutely love it when people come. We really do, because I think it's an eye-opener. The number of people who have visited and they go, they get it. And I think some people just love what we do anyway, and that's awesome. But there are other people who, when they see the level of intent and drive and all the sort of focus that goes into I showed you around the CNC workshop, the welding, the skill sets we have in the different buildings.
We had to sign a 6-page NDA before we were allowed through the entire factory. If you get the opportunity to go and do that, I can't encourage enough. I am a huge geek when it comes to any kind of manufacturing. You're second to none. Literally. Like,
cool.
what you guys are doing in every division is second to none. There's no comparing it.
It's a really interesting and dynamic place to work. There's loads of people, and the companies are all really very different. They've got different focuses. But we've got our Fly to Work scheme. I was telling you about this the other day.
Yes.
We've got Dan and Nick who just ordered your machines last week.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Dan and Nick.
Yeah, cool. So they're joining the party. And it's good because actually, when it's your own team and they're doing all the fun stuff and they're learning to fly, it's exciting.
Hey, my wife learns to fly on Saturday. You know how excited I am? I'm like,
yeah, exactly. And it is because it's like it's more people being part of the gang. It's bigger, it's better, and it's fun. But it's a hugely diverse range of skills. Some of these guys have got just the most amazing level of experience in specific elements of technicality.
Oh, your draftsmen are next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a great place to work.
So I can actually talk about it now. The last time when I had Simon on, we couldn't talk about it yet. When we were there in February, you were working on the 17-liter tank and the E-Start, the dual start tank, and this is due to my prior experience with other brands. I was just like, get a Velcro pouch, stick it on the side, have dual start. And they're like, no. Sign this 6-page document. Let me show you some blueprints. And I was like, you're going to spend how much money? Like when we make the molds for some of our accessories that we sell, the mold fees are $15,000, $20,000. Like there's so much money.
Big.
It's so much money. And then I saw the reason why and how you were going to have everything vented and how you're going to have the battery placed right here above the fuel tank and have it all integrated in. I was like, okay, that's ParaJet good.
Yeah. So it
makes sense.
Yeah.
I hate it because it took like 6 months longer than I wanted it to, but it was ParaJet good.
But I think, and we spoke about it earlier, sometimes the rationale for doing something is not always the money.
Right.
It's got to deliver on
100%.
It's got to be something that we can go.
You'd be proud of.
Yeah, well, also that we're into.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing is that if we did anything that we didn't like, I think we'd stop doing it very quickly because we just wouldn't be able to handle it. Shout out to Sam. It was his concept for the whole pocket within the tank thing initially.
Brilliant.
And it's really cool. I mean, when we showed it to guys at the Coop recently. Some of the feedback was just, wow, that's a really cool idea.
Why would you do that? It's so overcomplicated, but it works.
Yes.
And it looks pretty.
And it does look good. Yeah.
and you have nothing that can fall off and go in the prop. And that's a really good thing.
I think we always remember that we want to make sure that as sensible as we need to be. Like as businesses evolve, your rationale for doing things becomes more sharp because you want to make sure that you do things that ultimately make the company money and they're good. But also, there's a part of us which will never ever stop doing something which is a little bit crazy if we think it's that good, because otherwise it's not ParaJet. I think that's the point. Is that's when we came with the Mav, what we started off with is very different to what you see now. And how to make something simple look cool and beautiful and all the rest of it. It was really challenging, and it is in the modern day format of lightweight machines. Trying to do innovative stuff is more limited because there's less of it. It's such a minimal thing.
And something you and I were discussing earlier today, and I'm going to put you on blast. Sorry,
that's okay.
I should have warned you. This is very unprofessional. The reality is that the Mav you're shipping today.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very similar to the Mav you shipped on day one.
Yep.
But you said it was iteration 8.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
And that's something that we find very valuable here, because if you weren't looking at better techniques, at better materials, at better things, constantly trying to find better iterations, then you wouldn't be the brand that we support so much.
Good.
And I really value that, and I think it's important for people to understand that. Like, it's not like if you have a Mav 1, you have a crap engine, they change the brass fitting that your throttle cable goes through. They changed the netting diameter. It's small things, but it's things that add up.
It's like having an engine that over years and time you fine-tune to get the best performance out of it. And a lot of this stuff, just to be fair, a lot of this stuff is also about us as well. As we... the goal is to get machines out super fast, be the best delivery, all those kind of things. Because when you order a paramotor, you might say that you're prepared to wait a few weeks for it, but instinctively the inner child just goes, I want it now. And that's our goal. We want to get them out super fast. We want to be the fastest in the market. But that also comes with inherent challenges of how they go together, some of the production techniques and stuff. So some of the evolutions are to do with us and how that but that also benefits the customer because we get them out quicker. And other things are things that things you might not know. So when we actually launched the Mav, I think when I hit Beach Blast with it, someone said to me, "There's been no marketing on it at all." And yeah, we did a soft launch with it. We released it to a very small group of friendly pilots that we knew very well and were supporting customers. And we just we really wanted to get the field testing on it and keep on sort of progressing it. And it keeps on going and it keeps on going. And it will always be that way. I think if you ever stop thinking about ways of doing stuff better, that's probably when you start going to have problems, because nothing's ever perfect.
Well, and one of the things that sets Aviator apart is our decision as a company, not just myself, but my entire team, to reinvest, which is why we have between 6 and 12 units available on your shelf, ready for you to drop ship anywhere in the U.S. or anywhere in the world that one of our students comes from, which we've had students all over the world. So it's really wonderful, and it's an investment we keep making because we don't want our customers to wait. So while the rest of ParaJet's customers can wait, that's on you. Our customers should never have to wait. And it does occasionally happen where you guys have a supply backdrop or something goes wrong.
It's
but
not perfect.
Our goal is 5 days from order to delivery at most. Like if we can do 5 days, whether it's motor or wing, that's what we want. And we're just striving to work with the distributors now, you guys, Ozone, Fly Products, everybody. We want everyone to be on the same page, and we're willing to make the investment to make that happen. So thank you guys for being willing to share some warehouse space.
It's good. I mean,
I know it keeps getting like bigger and bigger space. I apologize.
But truly we welcome that. I think we're extremely lucky. We've got some great supporters around the world, and they get it, and we all share the same sort of value that we want to be able to deliver these things super quick. We'll get there, trust me.
I believe
we get faster and faster all the time.
This year has been a huge differential in how much you guys have been able to accomplish.
We've had our moments, like you say, the odd delay creeps up and it hits you hard. And the great thing about being busy is that you're busy. The bad thing about being busy is that when you get a delay, the domino effect happens and it can stack up. But the guys in the workshop are working round the clock to get them out.
Who's your production manager?
So our production manager is someone who's been with us for forever, Dan Scott. Hi, Dan.
What's up, Dan?
Yeah, shout out to Dan.
I don't know if I have met Dan.
You would have met Dan. Dan's awesome. Dan's been with Dan.
Sorry, Dan. If I forgot you, I apologize.
Dan started at ParaJet not such a long time before me, actually.
The problem is that Tom, when you go to the UK or he comes to the US, he makes the drinks, and so by the day that we would have met Dan, I'm not sure if I met him or not. My apologies.
Yep, but Dan's brilliant, and as are all the guys. So just a shout out to the whole team. Everyone works super hard. As I said, there's not one single person that we couldn't do without, because it is genuinely, it's, as I explained before, people ask us about, why can't you do this or why can't you do that? It's easy to do one thing. We can make loads of different things as a prototype, but when you try and productionize it, the challenges of trying to get 75 machines out the door in a month, it's huge. That means that because you don't know different lead times, different manufacturers. So engines might be a couple of weeks or a month. Harnesses are 3 months. Propellers
harnesses are really a year because you have to project what you're going to want.
What you're doing. So it's like you're really spinning plates massively.
It's something that really interests me because there's been a lot of talk in the industry over the last 2 years as the sport's grown of people who are like, this is way too expensive, and I lean on them as a businessman and as a fellow pilot. I totally agree. I can go out and buy I bought one of my airplanes not recently, a couple years ago. I bought an airplane for $9,000. Right? It's a real airplane. It requires a pilot's license. It's a certified aircraft. It cost me about $6,000 a year to own it. It cost me about $8,000 to make it safe to fly. But if you look at a ParaJet Maverick that costs $600 less than that, and you go, all this aluminum, certified engine, certified airplane versus ParaJet or Nirvana or Air Conception or Blackhawk. It doesn't matter what brand. It seems like an outrageous amount of money until you realize, particularly when you're working on the economies of scale, you're working with having to produce 500 engines or 1,000 engines a year.
Yeah, it's difficult.
You start looking at the cost of money. The cost of, we have to pay for 800 harnesses up front.
Yeah.
That will be produced in 9 months so that we can deliver. We have to have 160 Vitrazzi engines in stock so we can be able to serve our orders.
75, yeah.
175.
No. So you need to have like 120 engines to be able to know that you can do 75.
Right.
Because you don't know which way
you don't know if they're going to go Atom or Moster, and now we're having the Cosmos.
Smaller harness, large harness.
Right. Yeah. And so that's the thing. Like this summer, we bought almost all Moster maps, right?
Yep.
And in the last 3 months, we bought almost
A lot of
all
Atoms.
Atom
Big Atoms,
Mavs.
yeah.
So, and we went from all large, extra large to small, medium. So, and it's just for us, it's a fluctuation. Like the classes were smaller the last 3 months. So, but what I'm bringing this up for is the fact that as much as you and I would both love to have Honda get in the business,
Yep.
and then have Toyota build the frames, that sounds great. They could buy out ParaJet and it could be a Toyota Honda franchise. Sounds fantastic. The reality is that we're still small businesses that are having to leverage money.
Yeah.
There's a book that I recently read. Actually, I didn't read it. I listened to it for 15 straight hours with my wife and my 8-year-old. It's called Shoe Dog. It's about the founder of Nike and the founding of Nike and how they literally got investigated by the FBI because they thought they were a money laundering scheme of some sort because they were living on what they call the float, where they borrowed this much money to pay for the shoes that were coming in. They had to borrow this much money to pay off the loan that they had got for the shoes the last shipment. And this massive shift, and it was a phenomenal story. It really is a phenomenal story, but not that ParaJet or Aviator is borrowing money, but the fact that we're having to live on our own float on how to figure out how to direct, because there's so much more that goes into, like when we place an order for propellers, for spares, not even as a manufacturer, as a series of schools.
Yeah, it's big.
It's more than my truck, right? It's like it's a lot of propellers.
I told you earlier, some of the amounts of money that's spent in a month it would
Terrifying.
make your hair go grey.
Oh yeah,
And they already have. But
mine have fallen out, so I think we're in.
But it's a really good point, and it's people. It's not the first time I've heard someone say that. Of course, I think it's important to recognise the level of the sport that we do.
Yeah.
We are unfortunately so small and significant in comparison to larger.
So many,
to larger.
But
sports.
we love it more.
No, absolutely. We're the blessed ones, right? But I think it's hugely challenging. I think the only assurance that I can give anybody who does fly ParaJet, follow ParaJet, support ParaJet, is that we'll always get better.
Yes,
we
always.
recognise that we're not perfect. To all those customers, if anyone we've ever let down, we sincerely apologise, but we'll use that to get better. And we do.
You've
and
done an exceptional job.
And where we are now, compared to where we were 8 years ago, is light and day. I hope people recognise that. And as I said, we will, in another 5 times, be even sharper, even better. Because the more that people support us, we've got a huge amount of MAV support at the moment, both from the guys that are selling them, but also genuinely the pilots who want to buy them.
Yep.
And thank you to everybody for that, because we're super pumped by that, and it just
Good.
drives us forward. But as you talked about, the reinvestment, the time, the focus, there's no point when we sit back and think, yeah, great, this has been good. We're always thinking about the next thing, how things could be faster. We had meetings just before I left about efficiency, process, how we could get things out the door faster, how it can make it easier for everyone in the building. So we're always focused on that. And as I said, we'll always continue to try and get better.
And that's why we love you. All right. I think John's telling me to take 5. Is that what you're asking for, John? Nope. Okay, no. All right. He held up 5 fingers and I had questions.
Did you want to answer?
Give you 5? All right.
Do we want to answer any questions?
Oh, we have a lot of questions to answer. A lot of questions to
Okay.
answer. I'm going to ask one of you so I can sit over here and die a little bit. Has ParaJet ever looked into a quick release harness?
Actually, we did look at that, but we weren't entirely too sure if it was something that we wanted to do. But by quick release, you mean in terms of being able to exit the harness in water? Is that for the water? That's
the primary concern in the U.S. is there's one manufacturer who stipulates that you must have a quick release harness for safety. They're the only manufacturer offers one. As somebody who loves to water foot drag, I don't fly without water foot dragging generally. I love the idea, but instead I use 2 PowerFlow 2B Shores, and I feel fairly confident.
I think I don't want to give a convoluted answer. I would simply say that it would never be off the table, but actually it's important to make sure that the harness is an all-round. It delivers on everything. So we don't want to compromise on comfort, on the security of the harness, the quality of the harness, all those different types of things. I also think there are other solutions to the problem. That's it. There's different ways. The power floats are great. As someone who's been in the water a couple of times.
Yes, you have. That's a good story. I've never have. Knock on wood. I somehow evaded.
I've been wet, and I don't recommend it to anyone. So if you don't fly with a power float or a inflation device, go and get one immediately if you fly over water.
Aviator happens to have the entire world for marketing these, and we'd love to have ParaJet alongside, and we happen to have a whole bunch in stock.
But no, genuinely, I don't think nothing's ever off the table, but we we have a certain way of things that we think about and that we do. Safety is really important, but as I said, the quick release versus the inflation, I think there's scope there, but it needs to be thought through, and it wouldn't be off the table.
It wouldn't be off the table. There are some concerns. What I choose to do as a pilot who loves to fly over water, there's a clip in the video that's going to come out this week from our new big announcement. You got to see a preview. Don't tell anything. Don't give anything away. I'll give away yours if you give away mine.
No. Sworn to secrecy.
Sworn to secrecy. There's a clip in there where I'm flying over Lake Okeechobee, and I'm skiing on the back of a bass boat, big bass fishing boat. And I went into this flying a motor I didn't trust with flotation on the motor, on myself. And I chose, just like I have every time I've done a foot dragging video, a water foot dragging video, I go all the way down to I'm clipped in with one leg strap. And that's the leg strap that I'm touching the water with, right? Everything else is out. Everything else is ready to go. I can hit 2 fingers and be out of the harness. And so while I see the value of a quick release harness, I have not flown one that I trust because I'm afraid I'll hit it in a really inopportune time and be hanging from my armpits, right? So at this point, I like to plan ahead. Instead of having a 5-point harness, I have a 1-point harness when it comes time to go water foot drag for an extended period of time.
I think the most important thing for us is that in order to be able to be honest, to have a real true opinion of something, you need to test them all and you need to try them all. We're obviously very focused on the things that we're doing right now. But the designs of harness and comfort and all these sorts of things are things that we think about and look at. So like I said, nothing is ever off the table. It's just whether or not we think it's worth pursuing to such a level. And right now, I think the inflation devices and the things that the advancement that are already made in those things are pretty good. As someone who's flown over big banks of water and also been in the water.
You were going 120 kilometers over water in the Maldives last month.
Yeah, that was big. It's
insane.
I was very happy to have a flotation device at that point.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And yes, very much saw the value of it. The very first time I went in the water, I didn't. And
Scary.
It was silly. And I look back on it now, I think, why did you not have one? But I never, I wasn't thinking ahead. And I think that's the other thing.
If you have a plan and you've practiced your plan, I think you're far ahead of most, but it's still worth taking the extra effort to ensure your safety by moving forward. And whether it's a quick release harness or a flotation system, you've got to have a backup to your plan.
If you look at reserve parachutes as a good example, it's the most expensive thing you hope you never use.
Yes, 100%. And it's still dirt cheap. It's $850?
Absolutely. So I think, if you're ever putting yourself in any position where there's a risk of that happening, it is worth spending the money and getting the tools for the job. As someone who's been on the other side of that story, I can highly recommend it. It's not a great place to be. And actually, if anything, it just made me realize what an idiot I'd been. But it is good. Safety is paramount. We want people to be safe. And as I said, it's a small price to pay for your life, having a flotation device or a reserve or whatever it is at the time. But, water without inflation, no good.
Or a giant collapse without reserve, no good.
Exactly.
Cheap insurance, way cheaper than your car insurance. Yeah. Blaze Brogan, who you and I both know well.
We do.
I think you introduced me to. I'm not sure if it was you or somebody
Fantastic
else.
Man.
Maybe Naveed. Blaze, great to have you on the show. By the way, the fact that you waited till you had Tom on the show to come for the first time tells me that to answer your question of when Tom and I are coming to Turkey, it's when you become a real fan of the show. I'd love to go to Turkey for the World Air Games.
I could be persuaded.
When is it, Blaze? When is it next year? I'm in. Sounds fantastic. All right, tons more questions to answer. We're going to scroll to the very top if Nina will for me. Thank you. Connecticut Shoot Flyer says, have you ever considered using solid-state MOSFET relays for parameter starting to replace standard relays? Can you choose what brand prop comes in a MAV? What other options are available? Will a MAV fit in a Pelican 1780 case? And what is extra weight on the MAV? Is it the frames, the arms, the harness? That was 17 questions in one. I'm going to start with the first one. MOSFET relays. Do you know what the heck he's talking about?
I
Me
don't.
either. I'm sorry, Connecticut Shoot Flower, not a clue.
But
Can you choose what brand prop?
But as you know, I'm not super tech. Yes, you can absolutely choose the prop. The E-prop is the standard that we use, but yes, you absolutely can. Where were the other questions? They disappeared.
They disappeared.
Okay.
Will a Mav fit in a Pelican 1780?
What other options are available? So other options are available. You can choose from a couple of different harness types, but we focus on the dudek right now.
Because it's the most comfortable and the most incredible harness you'll ever use.
I really enjoy it. You've got color choices. We were talking about this earlier, guys, weren't we? Custom colors. Our standard colors are blue with the titanium, but indeed you've got a array of rainbow colors of orange, red, greens, blues. And actually, that's one of the really great fun things we find is that people really love customizing their machines. So
I like mine.
As complicated as it makes it, we really enjoy it. The petty case thing, I'm not sure, but I can tell you that it fits in a very large suitcase. So
it also fits in the front seat of an RV6.
Yeah. So actually, there's as the English expression would say, there's more ways of there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yep.
So you can actually, when we went to the Maldives, for example, what we did in order to try and, because the cost of the actual bags on the airline was huge.
Right.
So what we did is we took all the engines off the frames. We intersected all the frames as just the bare material in one bag, and then we took all the engines and put them in different bags. And what we did was basically just minimize the volumetric.
I've done the same.
So you absolutely can. Just depends on what level you're prepared to take your engine apart. So not your engine apart, but actually just your frame and your engine. But actually, it is relatively simple for even someone non-tech. It's 4 bolts. It's not too difficult.
In the U.S. Oh, they're flying parameters by the outside
parameters
again.
Outside.
Apologies. That's one of the things in the U.S. Actually, John, if you want to go fly, you have 20 minutes of light. Go out. Just leave it running. We got this. Have fun, John.
Go, John.
John's going flying. Bye, John. We have way too many questions to answer. So
let's go through them.
In the U.S., we're not legally allowed to fly with an engine. The TSA won't allow it if it's ever had fuel through it, or even if it's an assembled engine.
Well, on the plane.
On the plane.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we're forced to break it down to parts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking piston off, cylinder off, crankshaft. Like you want to basically break it all the way down to parts, where it's a 5-hour rebuild if you're slow.
Yeah.
Or you can have what happened to me, which is you can have the TSA seize your engine.
Mm-hmm.
Not so fun. So definitely something that we want to keep in mind. We got Laurie Nocter in here from Cross Country Magazine. Good to see you, Laurie.
Hey, Laurie.
Sorry, let's see. Let's go through some more questions. How do I charge my battery on my Zenith?
It's Brandon. Hi, Brandon. It depends on what model and version your Zenith is. If you have any doubt about that, just get in touch with us, info@parajet.com. Send them some photos of your rig, and we'll have a look. We've made some evolutions, some adaptations to the chargers.
Least 8.
Yeah, we've again always evolving. So it's absolutely possible that he may need some extra parts. The difference to understand between different versions of engines from different manufacturers is that some charge with a different level. So, for example, with the Monster, one of the things about the Monster is that it does emit a charge and it does replace charge in the battery, but it isn't as significant as maybe others.
Correct.
So if you fly for long periods of time, you'll find that your battery will replenish. If you fly quite a lot of short flights...
Yeah, if you're doing 10-minute flights and you're using the e-start each time, it will deplete it.
It will deplete it faster. So now we actually have a charging port system, which then means that you can literally plug it into the wall and charge it.
And you have a nice charger.
Yeah, it's great.
I
So,
like your
Brandon,
charger.
if you send us the photos, we'll check it out. It may be that you just need a few little extra bits.
All right, the numbers on the 185 block represent the amount of motors made per model or all motors from the start of the 185.
That's probably more a Vito question.
So we're going to have Matteo here. I'm not sure when, Brandon. Matteo from Viterazzi, Matteo Arazzi, will be here with us sometime in the future. We're looking forward to that very much. I don't know the answer to the question. I know that they built 1,800 Moster Plus MY19 so far this year with a 4-spring exhaust.
Yeah, I think in total since the history of the Moster Plus, I think it's like 3,500. So something like that.
Maybe a bit more than that.
Maybe a bit
now.
more.
Yeah, they were averaging last year. I don't know what numbers I'm allowed to share. I just know that they're like their exhaust issues. The official word from the manufacturer is that out of I think it's 1,600 or 1,800, it's been 35. So
it's a smaller percent than people might think.
Much smaller, but it's a very vocal minority.
It is out there. And by the way, actually, on that note, if you ever do have a problem, do message us. We have a stock of parts.
Same with us.
And we're fully up for sorting those out as fast as possible.
And I will say, ParaJet's been really good about this because amongst their dealers, because we're primarily a school, we use our engines more than probably any of your other dealers.
Yep.
And so we've had more issues, but you guys have been really upfront. So has Fly, so has Viterazzi. Honestly, like they recognize that there's an issue. They're fixing it. I'm not happy, but I am pleased.
Yeah, I think if you're a manufacturer of anything, you recognize that things can and will go wrong.
Yes, anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing is just making sure that at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that pilots are back up in the air as fast as possible.
Yes.
It sounds easier said than done. Be able to hold the stock holdings of parts. We talked about this earlier, the amount of money that you've got on the shelf.
Yeah.
But we're very focused on it. The great thing about time is that you collect data. You can see the things that get replaced more often than others. So we've got big stocks of parts, and again, with all of our supporters, you guys and others around the country, there's a huge amount of parts available.
Yeah, we
so
keep
if you do have a
ton in
problem,
stock.
don't stay quiet about it. Just get in touch.
We had a moment in July, I think it was, where you guys were low on parts. We couldn't get parts from other people, and we were like, I think it was 10 days or so behind on exhaust, and it was really frustrating. So we doubled our stock shipment so that we never have that happen again. And I'm sure we'll double it again, for any part that goes wrong.
We keep on every time we have an opportunity to, we enlarge our stock holdings of carts, but it has to be well thought out.
And if anyone goes to ParaJet, you'll see it, and it looks like a candy store for adults.
But you have to be careful, because if you order too much of one thing, that might stop you from ordering something else. It requires a lot of thought. You have to plot it out.
We hired someone full time just to handle that for us, and she's amazing. We need to have Allie on the show, Nina. Needs to happen. Allie manages all of our warranty, and she's helping with our warehouse. And Nina says she does not want to be in the live stream, but even if she's just flying by, it'll be great. So,
what's the next question?
All right, we have more questions. Let's see. How much do Mavericks weigh?
So, if it's a Atom 80, it's 20.5.
20.5 kilos, which in American?
And what's in that in pounds?
In American?
In American.
2.208, right?
You tell me.
I think it's 2.28. So
20.5 kilos, guys.
20.5 times 2.208 is 45.264.
Okay, and the Monster 185 version is 24.
So 24 kilos, so another 10 pounds more, 9 pounds more. If we go, you said 24?
Yeah.
0.5? Times 2.208.
Hi, Paranoob.
54.096.
Yeah.
That's what mine weighs. And then I have a reserve flotation, smoke system, lights, and actually the lights are not on mine right now. Ed has them on his.
So I think
it's solid.
We talked about it earlier. So it's definitely in the lightweight class, but we'd call it the all-rounder.
Well, like I say, you refined. You didn't try to win.
Yeah.
And it's, in my opinion, it feels about the same weight as my old motor, my 280. It feels about 5 pounds heavier than my 200, which is about 13 pounds heavier than my 200. But because the weight's so close to your back, and because the harness has so much more padding, it really makes a big difference.
Geometry. I think this is the thing that people sometimes forget, and I can't in any way explain this to you nearly well enough. There'll be some guys back in the factory in our design department who do a much better job. But the geometry and the thought process that goes into the comfort, the positioning of stuff. I remember when we chatted about this at Beach Blast, behind the scenes, if you will, and you said, I hate it because, I know it's heavier, but it doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't feel like it.
And I think that to me was the best thing to hear, because it's true. I think people focus on the numbers too much.
Yes.
A good analogy that I use for people who've never flown before, or they're thinking about buying equipment and stuff, is that when you buy a tennis racket, you don't go online and see which one weighs what. You go and you pick one up and you swing it in your hand, or a golf
I'm the guy
club.
who looks online.
Okay, maybe, but most people will pick something up, they'll swing it, whether it's a golf club, a tennis racket, or something that you get a feeling of it physically, and then you know whether or not it's the right one for you. And I think that's the thing I would encourage people to do, is to not, that you might need a lightweight class motor, but make the effort, try them on, do your research, because it isn't always about the numbers.
All right, so I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and I have to go grab something because there's a practical joke that I've left sitting for 3 weeks.
Okay.
It's not for you, don't worry.
Okay, good.
Adrian, 23483 says, Tom, what NavAids airspace maps do you use in the UK? There seems to be loads for the US. Would love to know what you use in the UK. And then he asked about wondering if you had any contacts at the Farnborough or Biggin Hill air shows, because he wants Paradigm to come perform. I'm going to give you 40 seconds to answer the NavAid one and the airshow one. I'll be right back.
So, Adrian, so in terms of Maverick, I must be honest, I'm useless at using all the apps. I'm very lucky. I fly around an area of the country where I don't need them that much. He lives in the UK. Okay, so PPG GPS, I think, is the main one that I know lots of people use, and there are some others. But it's the one that I have it actually on my phone. I don't use it massively often, but it definitely. I think it's PPG GPS. Yeah, exactly right. And the second part of the question was Angelina. And in terms about the UK air shows, so I think it was 3 years ago now we did Farnborough, and this was when Dino was still with us, and Dino and Kester flew Farnborough Air Show. And it was epic. I have to say that even forget, my alliances to the brand and everything else. It was just a brilliant experience because it was the first time they'd ever had paramotors flying. So you had jumbo jets doing barrel rolls and jet fighters, and then 2 guys on paramotors taking off.
Yeah,
it looks so.
That's what I love
it was
about
so
Paradigm.
surreal.
It's so ridiculous.
So
why?
in answer to your question, Adrian, yes, we do have contacts. I think it'd be great if there was more paramotor shows. Obviously, good old UK was sometimes limited by the weather. A little bit, but no, not as much as you might think.
Except whenever I come to visit.
Well, you did come in winter.
November, February.
But genuinely, it's something I think it would be great if we saw more of. I can just promise you, from the moment that they took off, we were inside in the main business area, and on the weekend it's the public shows, and they did a demo flight. I think we received something like 260 people within 30 minutes.
Wow.
And we couldn't, there was some 13 rows of people out around the tent. And we were exhausted. We didn't have enough flyers. We were totally unprepared. But I think we got rid of all the flyers in about 10 minutes flat. But you could see the impact that it made.
Yeah.
It was hugely significant. Actually, interestingly enough, the flight demonstration was really quite basic. That was the advice that we've been given by the guys: is
don't scare them.
Well, make it relatable.
Yes.
Make it accessible. Make it something that people can imagine themselves doing.
One of my favorite flight demos we've done at the air shows is my brother and I would go and we would take off with Mojos.
Yeah.
We had 6 minutes, a 6-minute window. So we take off with the Mojo, fly around, little formation, land, switch to a hot wing, like a free ride.
Yeah.
And then go up and do acro. So you literally had 6 minutes to show both sides of the sport, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Those are still some of my favorite ones because you're really challenged to get up and do both in 6 minutes.
I think it's the biggest piece of advice, and actually, fun enough, it was really good advice. And this came from a chap called Mark. It was this whole thing about making it accessible.
Yes.
And we were like, right, so we're going to do wing overs and spirals and sats. And he said, whoa, slow down. Just take off, go up, do a few turns and come down and land. We're like, really? That sounds really boring to us. Of course.
But you just ran into the sky.
But, to everybody, the onlookers, the guys who'd never seen paramotoring before, it seemed amazing to them. And as I said, it clearly worked because we received a huge amount of inquiries and influx of people. I was there desperately trying to talk to everybody and hand out flyers as fast as I could. Adrian, if you've got an interest and we can get any more people and we can put people in contact, Farnborough is a huge air show. And
Paradigm once in. Paradigm once in.
Let's talk about it. Yeah, definitely.
So I brought this cup out because it's been sitting on my desk for 3 weeks. Salute.
Cheers.
This is from my friend of a friend who I don't really know, but when you have a mate who reaches out to random people through the internet and says, hey, we stole my buddy's favorite cup. His name is Jeremy. He lives in the UK.
Okay.
They stole his favorite cup, and their plan was to use it to harass him through YouTube videos for years to come. So, Jeremy, thank you, sir. It's quite the nice cup, and I promise not to. I promise not to break it. It's lovely to have it here, and it might live here forever. We'll let you know.
So we got a question from Bob there, haven't we?
We have a lot of questions from Bob. I have a wooden prop. Should I just enjoy it, or hang it on the wall immediately and replace it with a composite prop?
Honestly, Bob, I think it depends. It's really hard to say. My advice would be just from a safety standpoint, and indeed, depending on whether your engine's new or old, certain manufacturers recommend certain versions of props, certain manufacturers of props. They all spin and they all get you in the air. It's probably best to go with the one that I recommend because you know that it's good for the engine and you know that it's not going to give you any trouble. I can promise you that it doesn't always automatically work. We had a guy who bought a Zenith 200 several years ago back now, and he had a huge amount of problems with the running of it. He was on the phone to me saying, I just can't get it running, and we were pulling our hair out.
His prop was backwards.
And I said, we came to the point where I just literally couldn't think of anything else. And I said, right, just take me back to the beginning, and literally just tell me what you've done. literally assembling it. And he said, "Oh, yeah, I put the prop on." I said, "And what's the prop? Is it helix or an E-prop?" And he said, "No, it's a wooden one." I said, "Whoa, right, okay. Could you just have you got the carbon one?" He goes, "Yeah, I bought the wooden one because I'm learning."
It was cheaper.
It was cheaper, and I didn't want to break it. I didn't want to break the carbon one. And of course, he took it off, put the another one on, rang me back, going, "Whoa, this thing's crazy
runs!"
powerful."
Yeah.
So I think it doesn't automatically mean that any alternative propeller has got any problems, but I think it's always a good recommendation to go with what the engine manufacturer or the general manufacturers recommend, because it's going to be good.
Well, and particularly because with a lot of manufacturers, if you use a prop that's not certified, you void your warranty.
Yeah, exactly.
And in addition to that, for me, on a personal note, I think that carbon props are much safer. They can still kill you. They can still maim you. I had
if you're on the wrong side of them,
a very good friend who started his motor. It was a push-button E-start, 3-blade propeller. He started it, and it went to power.
Yep.
And it fell forward into him. It wasn't on his back. It fell forward into him, and it hit him 1, 2, 3 strikes. But the propeller exploded. It maimed him severely, but he lived. My personal story, I was flying a long time ago. I had my first Hadron 20. Love that wing.
Yep.
And
I've flown that wing.
Gosh, that was my first small reflex wing. Like I went from a 24 Mirage to that. It was a huge jump.
It is a jump.
But I put a ton of time in. Still scared the pants off me. I failed my first 5 launches. The wing just flew right past me. It was like I inflated it. It was like where'd it go? But I had flown it about 20 hours, and I had just got a brand new engine. And this manufacturer really didn't have a whole lot of. What's the right word? They didn't do a very good job of ensuring quality. There's no quality control. So the silencer they had sold me, it must have been poured in salt water at some point, and it literally had rusted apart in the middle, and half the silencer came out, went through my wood propeller, and proceeded to send wooden propeller shards through my wing, and 6 or 7 cells were destroyed. And so I landed, and I called the manufacturer, and I was like, "What the heck?" And they go, "Well, we'll replace your exhaust, but the prop and the wing are yours." I was like, "No!" I was so miffed.
It's a thing.
I was more miffed about the wing than I was about anything else. I'm like, I did nothing. I still have the silencer somewhere, because it was one of those just like ridiculous. Like I had half of a silencer sitting still in the exhaust, and the other half had fallen out. It was brand new. It had like 4 hours on it.
I mean, I've got a really limited experience with wooden props, because I remember using one very early when I did my training. But I have to say, I think my overall advice would be is that actually carbon props are relatively repairable.
Generally safer. If you do impact the ground, you're less likely.
Yeah.
We were at Indy Air Hogs a few years ago, my wife and I think it was 2016, and somebody was on the top 80, and the cage flexed in to the prop, and he sent shards of propeller everywhere. And literally, it was mud everywhere. And he sent a 16-inch shard 8 inches into the mud.
Oof.
And I was like, if that hit somebody, it would have stabbed them. This is dangerous. And it hit right next to the right wheel, my wife's door. It was the front door of the car. Yeah. It hit about 2 feet from where she'd gotten out. I was like, okay, I don't like that.
No. I think, so I like I said, I don't think that at the end of the day, if it works and it gets you in the sky, it's got to be good. But
it's good, but ideal. What's ideal?
Yeah, I think the carbon, I would say, is better.
I concur.
And always go with the recommendation of the manufacturer, because it's just, if anything ever does go wrong, you're on the right side of the coin.
And they're generally better balanced, because a wood prop will retain moisture, and that retention of moisture will make it become imbalanced if you don't keep it horizontal all the time. So, all right. Lots of conversations. Roddy Newford, good to see Perry and Paramotor Fly Girl. Good to see all of you guys. Rip, man, always a pleasure. Let's see. Bob Lutherak says, what is that on the table? This is a brand new one-wheel pint, which we've been waiting for 3 months. We just got our shipment in. I think we have a couple left, and
my scar's starting to heat up.
Yep. Tom's scar's heating up. He had a bad one-wheel accident. He got a little overconfident, unlike Tom, and it's the pint. I just started writing it. It is a bit more flickable than the XR, but I have to turn off the easy stop because I want to be able to back up. I like to ride backwards. It's kind of fun. So pints are available on the website now if you guys are interested. Sorry, tonight. They're not available now. Nina's going to cut me. Let's see here, Bob. What is this model? See photo. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, the photo's coming.
Yes.
The photo is coming. Here we go. Oh, still coming. It's slow, but it is happening.
It's opening. It's opening.
Nina says it's opening. All right, this model is a very special model. You guys can't see it on the screen, but what it looks like is it looks like a Volution with way too much setting and way too many propellers and this weird intercooler thing. So what is this model, Tom?
So basically, that for those of you who can't see it, you may have heard of it. It's called the Everest machine.
Yes.
And I think that's really one of the things that absolutely defined ParaJet in the early years.
Yes.
It really. When
showcased-
Jono did that program,
it showcased your willingness to go batty and just do something
I
outrageous.
think it showcases Gilo's love of flight, his abilities, but also it just caught the imagination. I think that's the
Yes.
It's amazing. Think of all the different movies we make, Eric, and the things that people film, and sometimes it's not always the things that you think will work. Mission Everest completely. It was something which caught people's imagination on very different levels.
It was mental.
And massively spearheaded the company into a whole new dimension at the time.
Yeah.
This is way before my time, incidentally. But it's an incredible machine. No engine existed. So the proposition was, I think I can't speak. Gilo will tell the story properly, but
we need Gilo here. It has to happen.
But loosely, the details go that he had this idea. He mentioned it to Bear. Bear went, "I love it. Right, I'm going to go and get funding for it." And then they got some TV people interested, and they said, "Right, okay. So how are we going to do this? There's no engine that currently exists in the paramotor market that
you could fly over Mount Everest.
That you could go that high and have the right amount of power with it."
Oh, just that, yeah.
Yeah, and Gilo said, "I'll build one."
Of course he did,
as he absolutely does, always does. And he did, and it's incredible, and it's an absolute beast of a machine. I mean, even as a big 6'2", 100 kilo guy, it's still a beast for me. So
what does it weigh?
Do you know what? I want to say that I reckon that when they were fully fueled up with all the gear and everything else, they would have been pushing 50 kilos.
Oh.
It would have been heavy because
120 something pounds.
Yeah, it's a big machine, big machine.
But is it turbocharged or supercharged?
Yeah,
so it's turbocharged, rotary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's 200 or 300 cc rotary. But it's
no biggie.
It's absolute beast of a machine. I'd love to give it a go one day, but
I would like to fly it as well.
But it's
on a strike, preferably.
But it is it's pretty obscene. It's massive.
Bob Lyrax asks, "What's the price tag on that?" Any idea?
Good question. Actually, do you know what? Fun enough, we've had some great people ring us up wanting that. There's an awesome guy out there called Ben. You'll know who you are. When he first phoned me up, he's now back in Australia, so I even identify him even closer. When he first took up paramotoring, he rang and said, "I want to do training and I want an Everest machine."
Well, yeah, we get those all the time. They're like, "I want to do training and I want a machine I can tandem my 400-pound wife with."
Yeah.
And we're like, "Well, you do realize that to tandem someone, you have to have an instructor exemption and there is a weight limit due to the fact that you don't have to carry them if they sit down early." And I'm just kidding about the 400-pound wife. That's never happened. I just, they have this goal, which I don't fault them. I had the same goal.
Yeah.
But once you get into it and you realize the fact that you have someone's life in your hands, I'd done hundreds of tandems before I took my wife for my first
I just did my ticket this year, yeah.
Oh, did you? So I'd done hundreds before I would take my wife because I was terrified of the two of us flying together. And she learns to fly
It's a responsibility.
Saturday.
Yeah. It's a big responsibility.
Huge responsibility.
But to answer the question, whoever it was about the price tag, obscene, I think is probably the easiest way of putting it. It's not something that's going to be affordable to the average guy.
I mean, it's going to cost more than my first home.
Yeah. So I think the point is that they made them for the purpose of a TV program, so that cost was absorbed in that. If you actually wanted to get one made, we wouldn't be able to make the old one. We'd have to make a new one. That would require a whole different development project. You're probably talking sort of 50,000, 60,000 pounds.
I would assume more than that.
And maybe more. Yeah, just
the engines, because speaking to Rotron about buying the engines, they're 30,000, 40,000 quid a piece.
It's actually it's less the materials, it's more the time that it takes to do this stuff, to develop it. But yeah, it's not a paramotor for most people. Let's put it that way.
As much as I love paramotors, I would rather have a Maserati.
Here we go. Dan, so can we just scroll back? Dan Wareham. So Dan's our brand and marketing manager. 100 kgs all up.
No way.
All up. There we go. 100 kgs all up kit.
Ben said it was 58. Ben said 58 kgs empty.
Yeah.
Jeez. Mark asked, he's coming to training in March, which I think it's the time you should come back to visit, because he asked the crucial question, which was, do we prefer bourbon or rye?
Both.
Yes.
Is that a trick question?
Generally, the two of us actually both seem to enjoy the same taste, which is a double oaked. So like a Woodford double oaked. Anything double oaked is pretty solid.
Yeah, you've got some good drinks over here.
Yeah, we've had one or two. Not tonight, just in general this weekend. My liver is crying. Will the Maverick hook up to the Flash Cruiser? 009 to 090 asks. 009er to 090. Actually, we just mounted our Mav to the Flash Cruiser.
Did you?
We did. So we have a trike class coming up in December, and we didn't want to have to add another rider to the system. And with two drilled holes, we mounted the Mav beautifully, and it flies great.
Good.
So that's good to know. The more you know.
The thing that we seem to be getting from people is...
Not for sale, though.
No, it's not currently for sale. There's still a few things about pitch angle we're working
that'll
on.
just make people want it more, I warn you. No, it's good. I think the lightweight trike market's definitely on the rise. I think we're looking into it. I think we recognise that people... We get a lot of customer feedback. And people sort of mentioning that they like the idea if there could be a trike to the Mav. So don't get your hopes up quite yet, but we're definitely thinking about it.
I like that you're thinking. Good to see so many great folks in here. No, not drill out the Mav, Derek, just two holes in the trike in the stanchion, because the Maverick is much taller for the top bar. All right, Tom, anyone developing a counter-rotating or variable pitch prop for powered paragliding?
So... You want to talk to Gilo more about this? So Gilo is a big believer in props.
Really quick, any question like this that you ask of Gilo needs to be brought with this in mind. I'm like, hey Gilo, we're working on electric. He's like, oh, really cool. Let me show you my electric from 14 years ago.
He's done most of it already. I think Gilo, everything. Obviously, the problem with propellers and in general is what people are prepared to pay for the benefit that they get. And that's probably the largest overarching issue at the moment. But we're working on it because we recognise that noise disturbance is a big thing.
Huge.
Yeah, you guys are super lucky here. You've got massive open areas of expanse. But I'm sure you can still disturb people.
We do, and we try very hard not to.
We've got the rolling countryside of the English UK, but there's a lot of condensed, built up areas, people, and it's one of the things that as the sport grows, it's one of the challenges we're all going to have is how we maintain the sport without alienating ourselves from the general public.
Right.
And I think Gilo's sort of belief on that is that there's a huge amount of work that can be done with exhausts and with propellers.
Agreed.
So I don't think, to answer the question, and so it was 009 to 090, that it's not there yet, but it's definitely something that's on the horizon. I think that you'll see a lot of evolutions in engine performance in the coming years. I think fuel injection is one of the things that's definitely on the horizon.
So ours is done. Ours. We worked with Alex Huff, who's a phenomenal engineer.
Yep. Hey, Alex.
And we have it available right now. It works well on ParaJet or on Fly Products. Any frame he can mount it to, and he has a fair number of dealers throughout the U.S. The EFI is there. It's still not part of the engine yet, but it's lovely and it works. I mean, the fuel burn is insanely low. So definitely on not on the horizon. It's here. It's now.
But back to the propellers. I think they will come. It's about like everything. We're already talking about the cost of a paramotor. It's trying to make it affordable, and also how much have you got to spend to get how much benefit?
Absolutely.
And they need those two things need to balance nicely.
Absolutely. All right, so there's lots of questions left here, guys. MJ Stang says, can I fit my Maverick into an RV12? I have not tried an RV12, but an RV6, if you take the seat cushion out of the right side, you don't mind not using more than half of your flaps if you have the bar. Yes, it absolutely does work in the RV6. The RV12, I don't know. You'd have to test. If you were to take the engine off, which doesn't take long on a Mav, it would be easy to drop the engine in the back, frame in the right seat, no problem whatsoever. If you have a slider canopy, particularly with a slider with a tip up like the RV6s have, mine's a tip up only, which makes it much more challenging to fit it in the back. So that's a question I can answer. Brandon Schweitzer says, so is a Maverick better handling than the V3 or Zenith?
I don't think it's better handling. I think it's really important to say that, and we almost touched on it earlier, that the reason we still do the 3 machines, because obviously everything's the drive of the market is lightweight now. So
right, but there's a lot of people who still want a Zenith or they want a
Evolution. We've had customers come in, and we had one recently, and we talked about all the different things about the machine, and that's why we still continue to produce the other machines, is that whilst the numbers are smaller, there are still customers out there that want specific things. So a V3, for example. So George, he's just bought his V3.
Mm-hmm.
Hi George, awesome flight this morning.
Mm-hmm.
He's rocking it, and when you ask him about that machine, his eyes light up, and that's great. And
yes.
I think that's the brilliant thing. So, but just to understand the geometry, the way that we balance the machines is exactly the same across all of them.
They're all designed with the exact same weight shiftability.
Yeah, exactly.
The same torque compensation. Mm-hmm. The difference is where the weight is on the exterior of the frame.
Exactly.
That's the only real difference.
So it's all about the weight balancing within the amount of material that you've got on the back and the engine placement and how that all works out versus your own body weight. That's the other real key thing.
If you're a very lightweight pilot flying Evolution, it's going to feel very different than being a lightweight pilot flying a MAV.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I think what the MAV delivers, from what I gather from pilots and listening to them, is
paramotor.
Yeah, I know, I'm jealous now. But I think that people just say that it just feels really fine tuned. It does feel like an extension of your body, and it never feels laboured. I think that's the easy way of putting it.
I like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like that. Somebody just mentioned the fact that we have 118 people who so far watching live, and we only have 15 likes. So guys, like the freaking video. If you're enjoying this, take some time to like it. If you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel or our podcast. We'd love to have you. If you're watching on Facebook, take some time to jump over to YouTube, youtube.com/aviator, where the stream looks and sounds much better. And to go on to the next question, Lakesh Reddy says, if we get in a catastrophic engine failure in a gusty wind situation, how to deal with it?
Well, you're an instructor. I'll let you deal with that one.
All right, I'll jump into this. So the key important fact to keep in mind is that you're not flying a paramotor.
Mm-hmm.
Your paramotor is an accessory. You're flying a paraglider, period. So if you are flying a paraglider and your engine quits and it's gusty, you fly it the same way you would with the engine running. The difference being that actually your motor is debilitating your glider because it's pitching the glider back, and by pitching the glider back, you're reducing the amount of pressure inside the wing. So with the engine off, you are less prone to collapse and you are in a better position. So that is a big consideration. So Yankee and SC1 is talking about the 150 centimeter propeller from Air Conception that I loved. He asked if
that's big.
ParaJet is ever going to offer a similar offering for a larger propeller. Fly Products has a 140 now, which I've flown. It's fantastic.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is that something ParaJet's considered?
With its model, just in general?
With the MAV.
Yeah, okay. So with the MAV, the diameter of the cage is reflective of the sort of, yeah, but in terms of what we think people want, the Zeniths and I think the industry went quite large for a while.
I want a 200 centimeter propeller, please.
Yes. All right.
It's a compensation machine.
Yeah, that's a big old propeller. So no, you can use a 125, which is what we recommend with the MAV, just simply because of the cage distances.
I use a 130 pretty frequently, and I find there to be no issues because I'm flying a small wing.
Yeah, and again, it is absolutely fine. I think we're just always bearing in mind it's about. When you are eking out performance, you can make decisions yourself as a pilot about what those implications are.
Especially once you go beyond the intermediate pilot syndrome, where you're just trying to get more because you want more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we recommend the 125 with the MAV, just simply because you've got the best amount of cage distance between the prop and the cage. But you absolutely can use a 130 prop. Just make sure the glider's up above your head and you're not...
Before you gas it.
Yeah, just before you really gas it. No plans to do a larger MAV cage at this stage. Because I think we actually... well, keep begging, we'll talk about it. But no, it's. I think actually, there's a lot of performance in the engines right now.
There is,
and tuning of the carburetor can get you a huge amount more performance benefit than necessarily a larger propeller.
I don't feel lacking. I do miss the giddy feeling of flying a giant engine. I don't miss the 9.5 liters an hour that I was burning. But I'm much happier with an engine that's putting out nearly as much thrust and is more reliable.
Yeah.
There's definitely a factor where I feel more confident to be able to go on a cross country and fly across terrain that I would otherwise really not want to. You were talking about the swamp south of the airport yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like you land out there, you're slogging back
it's
the
gonna be
quarter
stretchy.
mile for 6 hours. You know, it's gonna be a work. So that's definitely something that's something to keep in mind. Kyle Oakley, this is Kyle OG, not Kyle Oakley. Kyle OG, 80 plans for additional storage on the Maverick frame.
I'm assuming that Carl means kind of travel bags and stuff for paracamping. I hope that's what you mean, Carl. We're talking about it. We did a whole load of work on the Zenith and made a whole load of accessories for that. And I think that we recognise now that the people want to do more of that kind of thing. So paracamping's is what we call in the queue. I'm assuming you guys do the same. It's
we're going soon. As soon as the weather gets a little cooler.
It's hugely fun. So I think I can't confirm anything right now, Kyle, in terms of things that we've already done, but it's definitely one of the things that we have on our list for the more adventurous pilots, people who want to go out there and have fun. So watch this space. Like I said, there's always things on the list.
Always.
But it's not the top of the list right now.
All right. Mike Brown, who's one of our instructors, he happens to be built like a Greek god. I would estimate him. He would sell you. He's 6'5". He's actually 6'7". His shoulders are about 4,000 inches wide. And Mike says, "Can you make the harness a little bigger with longer leg flaps? Harness seems to be made for midgets."
Oh, really? He's a big guy then.
He's built like all men wish to be built.
6'7".
Yeah, Nina says he's 6'7".
Wow. Okay.
In meters, that's like 2 men.
Yeah. So and it's Mike. Is Mike? Did you say?
Mike Brown.
Mike. Hi, Mike.
Yes. He's the one with the irradiated testicles. And that sounds negative, guys, but he was an operator and a radio-domed aircraft in the Air Force for 20 years. So these are his words.
Yeah.
My apologies, Mike, and to my family.
So in answer to your question, Mike, I think the one thing that we found, because all the specifications for flying equipment, harnesses, all these kind of things are really much based upon generalism. It's kind of what the average person looks, weighs. And I've met numerous people over the number of years who don't conform to that specification. And the sad and unfortunate thing at the moment is that there isn't enough out there for them. Because
we need more giants.
Yeah,
Yes.
we do, but I
agree.
I understand why manufacturers can't. There are some options out there, Mike, which are, if you ever got any questions, do email us and we can explain to you in more detail.
I don't think we have any XXL harnesses here, which may be a better fit for him.
So, for example, the super large is ever so slightly bigger.
Okay.
It's very subtle, but it's certainly there. But there's nothing much bigger than that. And it is a limitation of the market, I think, in general. I'm
6'4", and I fit just fine, but I am used to discomfort from my back pain. So I'm just like I always assume that whatever I'm sitting in is going to be uncomfortable. Yeah. And the Mavs harness, the large XL, is the most comfortable paramotor harness I've flown so far.
Yeah. But unfortunately, Mike, the simple answer is there aren't enough out there that cater for the people who aren't, as I said, in the bubble.
So, Mike, if you will irradiate the right people, myself included, make us 6'7", 6'8" like you, and we will be happy to then push the market into this larger size. I like the plan.
He might upgrade his paramotor.
And Nina brings up a very solid point. She says that then you might upgrade your paramotor, and that's just because he's actually flying one from the Neolithic days.
Okay.
It's a 1972, I believe, or 82 or 92. It doesn't really matter. It's
old school. I like it.
It's got a Simonini on it. It's a Fly Products. It's nice frame, but it's the Fly Gold 130. And the annoying thing is that it never breaks.
Yeah.
So we can give him as much heck as we want. It's like the V1. Yeah.
Like an old
it
V1,
it just works. And as much as I would love to give him heck for it, he does a great job with it. All right.
We had a little message from Ben back there. I saw.
From Ben.
So,
let's see. Looking for the message from Ben.
Flash up, but I didn't get to read it.
Craig Taylor, great to see you, my friend. PB, bringing in the views.
Bringing in the views.
Hey, I gotta say, a huge thank you to all of you for being here. I mean, it's the night before our normal night. We started an hour early.
Yep. And
we maintained. We're gonna be probably 28 or 3,000 views on this one with the number we have right now. Tom, how many straps did you change on Eric's motor today? Zoom in for the response.
All of them. On purpose.
So Tom flew my motor today, the motor that no one's allowed to fly, except for Ed, who just talks smack about it.
Yep.
Casey Butler asked a
Love
great
it.
question back there. If we'll jump back real quick, Nina. Have you ever considered a carbon back plate behind the harness for safer load distribution across your back and spine, also increasing the comfort?
So the answer is yes, and we keep on looking at that. It depends on the design and how well that works, and you can use it.
I have had a complaint from Travis about the sub bar.
Travis.
I think it's a question of your height, really. He's complained of the sub bar when he's leaning over to warm it up.
Yep.
And I felt it if I don't adjust my back to be straight
Yep.
up. I'm just leaning forward instead of like leaning my whole body forward. I could see where a carbon plate would be very interesting.
Yeah. So
on a Mav.
I think the composite question, in terms of how we look at it. So we looked at carbon a lot, and carbon's composite, all
course.
sorts of different materials. The thing that worries us about them is when they break. What happens to them when they break. Carbon can be quite fragile, and
it can be very
it can be
sharp.
super strong. It can be super strong, but when it does break, it can shard and stuff.
Yes.
And so it's just about weighing up the benefits. But we have looked at it, and
Even though it would add more weight, a Kevlar option might be worth
yeah,
pursuing.
I think as I said, I think the best answer to that question would be we're definitely considering the use of alternative materials in that area.
Hey,
not
Sam.
necessarily carbon. But
Hey, Sam, try Kevlar.
well, we
Just trying to get my messages across, man.
we were looking at a military inquiry when they wanted all sorts of.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, Kevlar.
Oh, yeah.
Kevlar and bulletproof, seatboards.
Seatboards,
and, all that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
Pretty cool.
Perfect. All right. We're going to answer a few more questions, and then we're going to jump off this because we're almost 2 hours in. There's a lot of great questions coming through. Greg Anthony Harris, we spoke to you on Saturday. Great to hear from you. Any plans to revisit the jet-powered paramotor concept? You guys ever done that? I don't know about this in the ParaJet history.
So no, I've seen something out there. I think Gilo loves the idea.
It just burns like way too much fuel.
Yeah, of course it does. It's got a big engine on it. He loves it. So I think at the moment, as you say, the big issue is fuel burn. And also there is a sort of safety element to it too. The kind of fuels that you're using can be quite explosive and all this kind of thing.
I mean, any fuel's explosive, but kerosene's actually safer in many ways.
Is it?
But if you're compressing it and you have two engines running, 60,000 RPM on your back, there is... now, if they were aircraft engines... It'd be one thing, but they're hobby-grade engines designed to go on a model airplane where if they blow up, let's say they throw a blade, right? I was at the Honeywell factory. This is 18 years ago. I was at the Honeywell factory in Phoenix, Arizona, where they build APUs, auxiliary or air power units for jets. Yeah. And they spin these things up to like 130,000 RPMs and try to explode the fan blades. Yeah. And they're tungsten. Like, this is not something you want to mess with, right? And they embed themselves 18 inches into the concrete.
Wow. When
they explode. So having that on your back, now don't get me wrong, I will fly it. I will do it with glee on my face, but it does make me a little nervous.
Yes. I think also there's the cost element of it too.
Those engines are expensive.
And how, again, it's a very niche market within a niche market.
Extremely
right
loud.
now.
Yeah.
Okay. But the great thing is, I think, from our perspective, is that we'd never say never to anything. It's like the whole electric thing. Yeah, we're just quietly waiting to...
You should fly my electric.
Well,
it's still in prototype mode.
I'll definitely have a go on it. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah,
if the weather's good.
It's a nice flying unit.
But I think we recognise that there's all these wonderful technologies. I mean, Charlie did the electric paramotor years ago. Yep. So there's loads of stuff that he's already done and tested and played with, and indeed we have too. But I think the most important thing is we talk about accessibility of the sport. Yes. And the paramotors, as we talked about, already have a certain price tag. We don't want to
offer a $70,000 jet engine.
Exactly. $75,000 paramotor. It have to be pretty good. So
that will work well in the industry. Yeah. No one will give you any flack.
Not quite yet, I think is the answer to that one.
Quick shout out to Mark Honeycutt, who's in South Korea right now. Mark's a dear friend, and he is serving over there. And I say serving, and by that I mean he's mainly paragliding into trees.
Yes, I've seen his videos.
But Mark, we appreciate your service. And when is ParaJet coming to Korea?
Make us an invite, Mark. We'll come.
There we go. Mark, we all want invites. We're in. This is a good question for you, my friend, because you've been around the sport so long. From Avi Jeremy Melul, he says, I'm about to get my first reflex wing, and as I'm a relatively new pilot, I've been told not to open my trim and keep flying with regular brakes for at least a half a year. What would you think about that? Why, yes, or why not?
So I think the very first thing I would say is that I'm not an instructor. So my opinion is non-professional.
Okay.
So it's just a personal thing. I've only got good things to say about reflex gliders. I learnt on them. I still have one. And I think the most important thing is to fly within what makes you comfortable and within your skill set, not to try to go too fast too soon.
Right.
If you are unsure, fly with friends, fly with people who know what they're doing, or indeed seek the help of a professional instructor. But in terms of reflex wings, being a new pilot, I don't think there's anything massive to worry about there. Just take it steady, Avi. I think it's probably the best advice I can give you. Do what makes you comfortable and don't push yourself too fast.
And as an instructor, I come at it from a couple different perspectives. One is, for many years, the byline that everyone used was, it's a reflex wing, it can't collapse, which my response is always, the Titanic can't sink.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen reflex wings collapse in dramatic fashions. It's much more difficult to make a reflex wing collapse. However, when it does, it's much more violent and usually well beyond the skill level of a beginner.
Yeah.
So while I have done many, many, many hours of flying on full bar, full reflex, going cross country, like through Czech Republic, I was thinking of flights that were really rewarding earlier when you told your story of Brazil.
Yeah.
And it's a silly one. One of my more rewarding flights was, it's an hour and 20-minute drive, hour and 30-minute drive to Jeff Gowen's new house.
Okay.
And I flew up, and at 1500 I had a 10-knot tailwind. So I flew up before sunrise, landed there like 20 minutes after sunrise, took me 30 minutes. Helped him unpack his truck and trailer to move into his new house. Turned around and flew back at 3500 and had a tailwind 10 knots going back the other way. It was one of those perfect days.
Yeah,
And I hit one of the biggest thermals of my life.
Yeah.
It's like 11 o'clock in the morning, and it was one of those thermals where you
Rocks
don't just pucker, you suck the whole harness inside, right? And the problem was I was on full bar and full reflex, and I dropped the bar immediately, and I snapped out of reflex, and I had a huge collapse. And I was flying an expert level wing. It was a Hadron 22, and it I recovered. I zipped the trims in, caught the surges, got the wing back open, no issues. I was plenty high. I had a reserve. So my encouragement is talk to your instructor, have a reserve, and don't fly fast unless you're high.
No, exactly.
Because it's very addicting to fly low.
High in the air, you mean.
Yeah. Jeez. It's very easy to enjoy the speed down low and to not recognize the amount of danger you're putting yourself in. I've flying the Mojo, which is the beginner wing, non-reflex.
Great wing.
Very safe. However, if you're on bar and you're trimmed out, and you start pulling frontals, even on that wing, because you're outside the performance profile, it will start cascading its failures. It will. You pull a frontal, and all of a sudden it surges back, collapses, surges forward, collapses, and you're doing nothing. Your hands are on the risers, and just because you're completely outside the speed profile the wing was designed to keep you safe in, full bar and reflex, or not reflex, but trimmed out, it will not keep you safe.
No.
So to John Schnauder, this is Brady. She's a Greyhound Rescue. She's Nina and John's. She's amazing. So yeah, that's the long answer to a very short question.
Just to finish up on that, I think always fly within your. What we talked about this the other day. We were talking about flying stories and kind of what we think about stuff. Fly for yourself. Don't feel pressured by anybody else or how good other people are or how not good they are. It's all about you, really, at the beginning.
Yes.
Fly within your skill set and what makes you comfortable. Because the more you enjoy it, the better you get. And so forth and so forth.
Be aware that when you get comfortable and confident, that's the time to take a step back.
Yeah, and reevaluate yourself.
That's the time that you really want to be aware of what you're doing and try to be wiser about it, because that's where there's issues. Kylo Glee, the real one, has joined us. Kyle, I want to point out to you, my friend, that the weather in Louisiana is about to get really crappy. And Florida is going to be really nice when it stops being 97 degrees. I'd like to have you as a guest in this podcast. Come visit us. And he'd like to know, Tom, have we given away a ParaJet yet?
No, not yet.
I feel like we could rock, paper, scissors to see if we give away mine or yours.
I love mine too much.
Come on now.
I can't give it away.
You've had it for like 12 years.
It's not that long. It's really good.
Oh,
No,
come on.
come on.
Jeez, he's no fun, guys.
No.
I was willing.
No.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank
you, Tom.
For sale.
That is. I worked really hard for that machine.
Nina wants it to be said that mine is for sale, and you worked really hard for yours, and that I don't deserve mine. Basically, what she's saying.
Nina, yeah, that's my baby right now. I'm not giving that away.
All right, a few more questions, and we're going to call it a night, guys. Derek Trott asks, is ParaJet looking for EFI?
EFI?
Are you looking at doing EFI or using ours?
What the fuel injection?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're not necessarily looking into it ourselves because we're not actually producing the engines at the moment. But as I said to you, it's my belief that over the next 5 years, I think the biggest developments we'll see in the paramotor market is going to be engines.
Yes.
I think when you look at frame technology now, how light things already are.
There could be improvements, but they'd be small.
It's you're talking about so much work to get so few 100 grams difference.
I look at the frame market right now as more of a refining what makes it easier to use versus making it better to use.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the engines, there's a world of difference.
Oh, I think so. Because the whole thing is that if you can fly bearing in mind how much fuel weighs, and this is what people think about. You could spend months, years trying to get 300 grams out of something and spend a huge amount of money doing it. Or you could make an engine that runs on 2 liters an hour and carry half as much fuel, and you would save far more weight than you could possibly imagine. So I think that's where the market's probably going to go over the next number of years. I think there's a lot to be done with engines and technologies and fuel efficiency, basically.
I agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Fuel is a really heavy thing.
If we can get in the mindset that we are going to burn 0.2 gallons an hour versus 1 gallon an hour, and the reality is either between hybrid, which is a huge potential in the market, hybrid, 4-stroke, EFI, all these things can bring us forward, and that's what's exciting to us. Like Aviator, we're constantly reinvesting into great engineers like Alex to say, listen, let us help you get there and see if we can make something special happen. All right, so Ben says that you're not allowed to lose your motor because you'll steal his, and his kids are included with the motor.
Ruby is not for sale. Absolutely not.
Great question from David Nickerson. He says, sorry I'm turning in late, but wanted to ask if you have a solution for Maverick owners who are in colder climates to make it easier to get the cage jetting mounted. It's next to impossible in New England winter.
So, David, it's a really good question.
By the way, David's one of our favorite people in the entire planet, so be nice to him.
I'm always nice to everybody.
Yeah.
No, David, it's a really good question. Again, I think that's one of the challenges of a manufacturer is to have solutions that work in every different climate, because it's
a huge challenge.
I mean, we're in England and Europe, the conditions are pretty steady. But even so, in places like Norway, it gets really cold, and again, in lots of different areas around the world, or super hot. So the answer to your question is yes, we are looking and testing things right now. Which would solve that problem.
I've tried one of the possibilities, and I will say that if it holds up to the endurance that you guys are working for, it will make the Maverick's assembly time be cut by 30%.
Yeah, I think as I say, it's, we talked about this constant sort of refinement and improvement, but we're always. I think you learn from your mistakes. Things that you do, you're always keen to rush things out the door because you're excited by them. People want them. The actual ring material, netting materials, all these things are things that we're working on loads at the moment.
Well, one thing I have to give credit for, because when I first looked at the ring material, and obviously there are challenges. It's more difficult to put together when it's cold or it's brand new.
Yeah.
First thing I can tell you, David, is fly more, assemble more often, use a heat gun if you need to. In all seriousness, use a heat gun. If you don't have a hitch carrier, so you can travel it with it all assembled, get one from us. We'll help you. David, Nina, I'm giving you a look. Take care of Nickerson, and we'll definitely be happy to help you. The reality, though, is that you guys are finding new materials. Like the new material you guys are testing right now, if it lives up to the longevity,
it's awesome.
It's silly. It's silly easy.
So and I think that's the point, is that we really like it. It poses challenge not only just in terms of endurance, but also actually manufacturing. That's the other thing, because you've got a great idea, and then you suddenly got to start making it in high volume, and that's challenging again because you've got to change everything. And but David, stay steady. I think you'll see something sooner than you might think. So
the other aspect
just hang in there
of that too is that you could manufacture something right now. I know you could, because I've seen 3 of the different variants that's flat black and won't take paint. But the reality is that ParaJet cares about aesthetics as much as they care about usability. You can go buy a lot of motors that are ugly, but ParaJet's going to make sure that you're flying something you're proud of. So those first 3 models, they wouldn't work for ParaJet. They're freaking hideous.
No, they are. I think the overarching point is, like I said, we've sent them to key. Yeah, we're very lucky to have a great team of people that we work with around the world and in lots of different locations, and also who are hugely supportive of us and get that there's a development behind these things and that they don't just happen overnight. So we've sent various different samples off to different people of different materials to test.
We've got one.
These don't necessarily mean that these are going to be the finished product, but we want that feedback. We're trying to understand how they perform. To fly to have a material in Dubai, for example, when it's really, really hot, versus what David's talking about there is two completely different things, and how they react and how they hold and how strong they are and how well they hold together. All these different things are unknowns which need thorough testing to make sure that when people do use them, we know that they're totally safe.
Well, and it sounds silly, but the difference between Dubai hot and Florida hot, when you have humidity and you have the dryness, it makes a huge difference in longevity. Like a plastic will last longer here than it will in Dubai. And that's an important thing. Eric Bankston says, you said you're not producing engines now. Are you considering it in the future? I'm going to answer the first part of this. So what you need to understand is that ParaJet, Gylo Industries, Rotron, they've been building engines for how long? 15 years?
A long time now, yeah.
Yeah. So they don't produce an engine for a paramotor now, but they have in the past. The V1 and the V2 had a Rotron engine. Rotron and
so it was XT engine.
Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah. But it was a two-stroke engine, 172 cc's.
Right.
We love engines, and I think that it's about recognizing what the priorities are and what you're good at, and also what's important to the end user. To manufacture lots of different models, to manufacture one model of engine which is really good and reliable is already super challenging. We see that in the marketplace today. So to manufacture 2 or 3 or 4 is crazy difficult, and the investment and the time and the operational side of
even though you guys have the shop to do it.
I think we're getting to a point now when absolutely we would we could consider that concept. But I think
you also really like Vitarazi.
Yeah, but that's the point. We've got great people out there who are doing good stuff. And we recognise that our ability to partner with these different manufacturers allows us to really focus on the other things which we really, really are good at, and to conceive possible ideas for the future. But I think, as I said, what you've got in the Atom and the 185 are great. There are other engine models out there which some people use, and they're great.
For the Cosmos.
So and as I said, we use them because we believe in them. We think they're great, and we think that it covers the general side of the market. We love the idea of building engines, but it's an idea, and I think we learned the first time the hard way that unless you're going to really do something brilliantly, then it's better just to step back and maybe not do it at all, because we want customers to have a good time. We focus so much time over the last 8 to 10 years on trying to make it better. The last thing we want to do is go and drop a clanger and not deliver on something which is brilliant. And the Vito engines are great, and they're a great team of people, and the engines are awesome. So I think we're
it's
really,
the same
really happy.
story. We have the same story on different pages. We could build our own paramotors. But the reality is, right now for our business, we are solely focused on increasing the value of our training, increasing the number of schools that we can host, to make sure that we take the best care of people. And eventually, we could partner and build our own frame. We could do something different. But right now, our focus is succinct. We are taking care of the student. That's what matters most to us. All right. And with that said, guys, we are now at 2 hours and 2 minutes, 2 hours and a half with the pre-show. I would like to give it a couple of T-shirts. We're going to give the one off of Tom's back. In fact, I'm not going to tell you what we're giving away yet, because the reality is that I have a huge order of T-shirts finally going in this week. It has been a 5-month process because I haven't made it a priority. I apologize. But they're all going to have Tom's face on them, so it'll be great. Guys, we're looking forward to sharing more with all of you next week. I wanted to mention that last week we promised that we'd have John Stidham on this podcast for tomorrow night. Sadly, he had a case he had to go run off and do some stuff for up in the Midwest, so he's not going to be here tomorrow night, which is why we did this tonight. And next week, John and I are planning on being here to talk about the legality of flying in the U.S., how to ensure your field's legal status, and how to fight the man in a way that's really gracious, and to do it the right way, because that's important to us. So we're looking forward to that. If you'd like to win something, guys, we'd encourage you to please share this post. Share with your friends on Facebook. Share with your friends on Twitter. Share with your friends on Instagram. If nothing else, tell your mom that we had a really good podcast tonight, and that Tom and I ripped into each other and then had a really nice talk. I've
Thanks for
enjoyed
tuning in,
this.
guys.
It's pretty good,
Yeah.
right, Tom?
Yeah, great fun.
Seriously, thank you for being on here. This is a
my
blast.
pleasure. No, it's my pleasure. It's been a great few days. So yeah, thanks to everyone. Yeah,
It has
brilliant.
been a great few days. And there was a question earlier from Saeed that I think is important to bring up. He asked if ParaJet will accept payment for parts with body parts.
It's not a currency that I always used to joke that we accepted cash and souls.
I was going to say livers. I mean,
but no, so no, body parts is not a currency we're currently looking at, but it depends what the market is.
well, to Josh Bowden, to Ben, to Derek,
Hey,
Adrian, Saeed, all you guys, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
It's truly a pleasure. If you've shared the post, leave a comment, please, and we will select a couple of winners from that in the next 30 seconds. So John Schneider, thank you for being here. Slow Days, always a pleasure. Michael Allen, Chris G, guys, thank you all for being a part of this time. To me, this opportunity to share some of our hilarity and some of our conversations is super valuable. I understand that it may seem silly to you guys, but it's an opportunity that gets us in front of the camera and sharing what we're passionate about. So thank you all very much. To Kevin Woodward, Bob Blitheract, Ripman Riding, Walt Reese, everybody else, thank you all very much indeed. Bob Blitheract, once again, you've won something new. David Nickerson, you've got something new as well. Jason Parker, you as well, and Eric Bankston. Guys, please email info@aviatorppg.com if I called your name. That's Jason Parker, Eric, David, and I already forgot the other one. Rodney Newfer, I guess you're in there too. So Rodney Newfer, as always, we love you guys. Munsterman, thank you very much for being here. Tom, for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to our friend of the UK who's lost his coffee cup, I'm sorry it lives here now. Have a great night. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next week.
Guys.